everybody gave us side eye when we told them we were moving to Minneapolis. I mean, everybody. They were like, "You're going where?"
Yeah.
We're like, "Yeah."
That's the thing is, a lot of people don't know, like, they don't know much about it. They know it's cold.
Yeah.
They know Duluth Trading Company because of commercials, right?
Shout out.
Shout out, right?
Yeah. How's it going, friends? Welcome to the Twin Cities. This show tells the stories of the people that we've been lucky enough to help relocate to the Twin Cities in hopes that hearing their story helps you along the same journey. I'm your host, Jesse Lynch. I run the hardest working real estate team in the game. We're called To the Twin Cities, and we are here at our office in Northeast Minneapolis. We call it the Shop. I'm joined by my co-host and arguably the best agent on my team, Steve Wilk.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. Please, if you're wherever you're watching this or listening to this, feel free to subscribe. Would appreciate that so much. YouTube, Spotify. I think it's pretty much everywhere you can get a podcast. Yeah, if you are interested in working with us, the aforementioned hardest working real estate team in the game, go to our website, tothetwincities.com, or shoot me an email directly to info@tothetwincities.com. If you want to work with Steve directly, steve@tothetwincities.com.
Yeah, reach out.
I would like to say thank you to Paul. Paul's been going through it with this board switcher today. He also built some sound bafflings, so show me anybody who will
Always
do both of
killing
those
it,
in the same day.
especially lately.
Paul Winkleman, thank you. Today we're joined by our esteemed guests and arguably our favorite clients ever, Jason and Lindsey.
Whoa.
Did
Welcome.
you say that to all of them?
We do, yeah. Yeah. It's an ongoing thing.
I'm not actually the hardest working guy. I want to make that perfectly clear.
But yeah, thank you for being here.
Of course.
Thank you.
We really do appreciate it so much. And we'd like to kind of just start chronological. So before you moved here, maybe even before you were even thinking about moving here, where were you living? I guess, when it first crossed your mind, where were you living and kind of what were you doing? What did your life look like then?
I think it all started on May 5th, 1983. I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas. Lindsey is from Iowa,
Yep.
the Quad Cities. We met in law school in Vermont, and after law school, we decided to move to Austin, Texas. I'm originally from there, so wanted to practice law down there. And so we've lived in Austin probably for the last 12 years. Mm-hmm. I love my family, but I don't necessarily have any desire to live close to them. Sorry, Mom and Dad. They've been living in Charlotte for the last 20 years. Great place. And I don't know, every now and then we would think, hey, I think it's time for a change. Mm-hmm. And Lindsay's always wanted to be closer to her family in Iowa. She has a wonderful family that's very close. They all live together. They get together a lot. And it's funny, a lot of people would say, well, that's Iowa, though. It's so far, and why do you want to be up there? And then I watch all these same people get together with their families all the time. I'm like, well, you have that. You have that sense of family there. We don't. We didn't have any family in Texas. And so, I don't know. I guess over the last few years, we just started talking about moving. I guess that's what that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely hits the high points anyway. You know, I moved to Austin thinking I would be there for like maybe 5 years, and it ended up being 12, right? I mean, just things like that kind of happened. It was never, in my mind, it was never like a permanent move for me. So I think it was always kind of in the back of my head that I would come back to the Midwest. And then just given his line of work and what he does and how he practices, it didn't make sense. Like, it was never like the right time to kind of do it. And so eventually it was, after he made partner, he got a lot more flexibility. And so we were finally able to kind of really entertain a move to the Midwest. And so we've been thinking about it. I mean, we just moved in July. We've been thinking about it though for, in my head, a long time, but honestly for probably the last like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, when you get, and maybe we're just slow movers, I don't know, but I do think like it takes a long time to kind of formulate that and then come up with a plan and then actually execute it. So
it's super daunting too.
It is. And so
especially when there's not something that's actually, I mean, other than just kind of the want to be closer to family.
Exactly. I mean, there wasn't like one of us got a different job and we
had to be
exactly. It wasn't anything like that. And so I mean, we just kind of decided, we wanted to be closer, and then so what did that look like? And so we really kind of picked Iowa City, where my family is now, kind of as like a focal point, and then like just kind of did a radius out from there, like what's an acceptable kind of travel distance from there. And so that's really how Minneapolis ended up like on that list, I guess, initially. And then
were there other Midwest cities that you
there
were considering?
were. So probably the only other like front runner in our heads was Kansas City. I think we felt
cool.
like it was enough. Like it was a little further out, so it kind of got axed off the list. We didn't really travel there to really vet it out. Drove through all the time though, just in having to like do trips from Austin to Iowa. So we definitely had been through. We've visited a little. But so it was really kind of just Minneapolis or Kansas City. Those were kind of Chicago would have been the closest, but it was bigger than what I think we wanted to entertain. So
Yeah, so Iowa City is a cool place. I think it's a really cool college town. If I could live, if working remote and it didn't matter where you lived and jurisdiction as far as being licensed as an attorney, it didn't matter. I would consider living in Iowa City. I just think it's a neat place. But our Austin's considered to be what's called like a tier 2 legal market. So it's not like LA, Chicago, or New York, but it's still growing. And so the only way I could pitch it. So what happened was we were going to do this. And I was like, all right, next step is I got to pitch it to my partners because they may tell me I'm crazy and say no. And there were a lot of lawyers in town like, that's crazy. Why would you ever do that? And then others were like, that's amazing. I don't know anything about Minneapolis. So we were looking at cities that would be comparable. And surprisingly, the Twin Cities are a little undersaturated as far as legal. Yeah, you go to Austin. There's personal injury lawyers everywhere, family lawyers. I mean, I do real estate.
dime a
law,
dozen. Yeah,
but there's not that many real estate lawyers. I mean, obviously Minnesota's much smaller than Texas, but so yeah, we were looking at Kansas City, we were looking at the Twin Cities, and we briefly looked at Chicago, and then we said, all right, well, let's just start doing recon missions and start flying out there and see what it's all about. Now, I've been to Minneapolis once before. I got a cool story. Can I tell you quick?
Please.
My first Minneapolis story. So, I before going to law school, I went to grad school and did like some environmental health stuff. And my professor at the time, this was back in 06, 08 or 06. Anyway,
you're aging us.
so he's like, hey, there's an industrial hygiene conference. I'm going to fly you out to Minneapolis. I'm like, Minneapolis, where the hell is that? And he's like, yeah, you're going to fly out to Minneapolis. So industrial hygiene, it's an old profession. It was created back when nuclear power was going to be the thing. And so it's all about like environmental health safety guys doing nuclear power. But it's kind of turned into more of like an occupational science type degree. But anyway, so I get there and it's this huge national conference and I'm clearly the youngest guy there by like 20 or 30 years. It's all these old scientists essentially. So we have this opening seminar and like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this year's IH conference brought to you by blah 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 sponsors. And they go, now get ready for Prince. And I'm like, wait, what? Prince comes out with the guitar unplugged. He's like, hey y'all, and he starts jamming out. And I'm like, holy crap, it's Prince. So I get up on my feet, I start clapping. The place is silent. None of these like old
Was it a
crotchety
Prince
guys.
lookalike?
No, it was Prince.
It was him?
Oh, it was Prince. No, it was him.
Part of me was like, were you the guy who was like,
So I was up there clapping. He did 2 or 3 songs.
Oh my God.
And then he said, welcome to my beautiful city, and you all have a great conference. I'm paraphrasing here. And then he walked off, and I was like, this was really cool. And so like my picture of Minneapolis was like, that's a cool place.
He just gigs walking around town with a guitar.
that is honestly, yeah. Yeah,
So,
we
yeah.
saw him outside and he said he'd come play. Yeah. That's crazy.
That's
But
awesome.
then we started doing recon missions, and
Yeah, we did. We took about 3 trips up here
Okay.
over the course of like, I mean, I guess if we get in like the chronology of it, we did 3 different trips up here. I think we were still maybe a little on the fence. It really was a little like, was Minneapolis going to be, or the Twin Cities going to be the right place? I think the first one was like in September of last year. And so we came up, we spent a long weekend, 3 nights maybe, rented a car, drove around. We had followed your videos, and so we knew some little like burbs that we would not have known of otherwise. We went down to
did
like...
we do a summer trip?
No, it was in September.
Okay, it just felt like summer.
Yeah, the weather was really nice.
hot.
The weather was
It can
really
be
nice.
hot, yeah.
It was nice and it was warm, and so we kind of did that for like a weekend. Really drove around and tried to learn the city, not like in like downtown, but like I said, kind of like south.
Yeah, sure.
A little bit, and that was really fun. And then he really wanted to come in the winter, just to like, he's like, would we do this?
Yeah.
And so now we know by like Minnesotans standards, it wasn't really winter because we came on like this time of year last year. It was like the second week of December or something.
Yeah.
So
30s and 40s
wasn't really cold yet.
I wanted the bone chill, and we didn't do that.
No, we came.
So.
Yeah, it was
what you
before
wish
the
for.
holidays last year. We did that trip, and then our last one wasn't until I think May when we came up and we met up with you and you drove us around and
Yeah.
showed us some places. And by that point, by like that third visit, we were like, now we just need to find a house. Like,
Yeah.
you know, between like that time frame, we had really kind of settled on the fact that we were going to come up here. And so it was, and he had already gotten approval at that point too,
Yeah.
to like open up his firm here or open up a branch of his firm
Overwhelming
here.
approval. I was kind of surprised. Like, this
that's
is a great
nice to hear.
idea. Oh,
You're like
yeah.
dreaming.
Yeah,
right
I mean,
now.
you can speak to that a little bit too, I think, because, you know, I think all like at this time last year, I was like, man, we really want to do this. I just don't know if it's going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, all it's going to take is a no. And, you know.
That'd be frustrating. Yeah, to put all the
Yeah.
time and be like, yes, we want to do this. And then just like
Yeah.
hard
And
roadblock.
he, you know, he's such a hard worker. Like, he put together a business plan. Like, he had the pitch. So, I mean, we definitely had an idea for how financially we could make the move work. But, again, like, he has multiple partners. Only one of them had to just be like, absolutely not. Like,
Yeah.
we don't know anything about it. We don't want anything to do with it. And so, I don't know if you want to speak at all to like how
Yeah, it was
how you
wild.
pitched it, maybe, or
Well, so it's interesting. So I have 3 managing partners. So 3 that I needed to convince, and they can convince the others. But one of them just lost her husband to cancer. He's like 55.
it was
Oh,
was
no.
very
and
tragic.
her
Yeah.
response is, "Life's too short.
Just do
You're
it.
doing it for love.
Yeah.
Go,
Yeah.
go."
Yeah.
And then Boone was telling me, he's like, "Well, you're doing this for Lindsay, right?" Well, in part, mostly.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, she's worth it. So I think this is a great
so
idea, and we can make this work."
Thanks, Boone.
Yeah. And then surprisingly, so Noel, he actually went to college in Minnesota, and I'm going to draw a blank. It was a school south of the Twin Cities. He played tennis for him.
Carlton,
Minnesota
St. Olaf.
State.
No, it wasn't St.
It was-
He said it was
a-
about 90 minutes from here, and it was southwest of here.
yeah, it's not
And
Carl.
I
Mankato?
apologize, I don't remember.
No. Anyway,
Southwest.
maybe on our next break.
Marshall.
No, it wasn't
Yeah,
Marshall.
we can look it up.
So what's funny, he goes, "Yeah, I haven't been back since," and you know, because he's been I guess he's 10 years older than I am.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was like, "Well, I have a lot of connections in Minnesota, so it's a beautiful place, a lot of great people. Let's go. Yeah, this sounds like a good idea." And so, overwhelming approval. And so once we got that approval, I think it was in December of
Yeah, it was like-
2022.
That must have been extra encouraging then.
Yeah.
Oh,
totally.
it's incredible! Like
Totally.
now
It
we're
was really
involved, and we're like,
fun.
we're doing this.
Yeah,
Sure.
And even that's overwhelming too, right? You're like, you plan it, and you're like, you don't know, and you're kind of, your life's a little in limbo that whole time, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you get the yes, and you're like, oh my God, we're moving.
Yeah, you almost
Like-
expected a little more friction, and you're like, oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, okay, so when they say no, here's our counter proposal.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
like, you know, what's the next thing that we're gonna try to do? Like, it might postpone it, but it won't, you know, make it impossible. And,
And the job's
But
too
it didn't
good.
happen.
It would have been very difficult to, if they said no, to walk away from it. So we would have had to think about, all right, well, what's the next plan? Because
Yeah.
even though this was done because of, you know, Lindsay wanted to be close to her family, there was also another underlying reason why I wanted to leave Austin. And I feel like it's the same reason that a lot of people have when they live someplace for a long time. Like, I'm ready for a change.
yeah.
But I don't know. I'm comfortable. I got a job here. I'm making good money, and I guess I'll stick with the whatever bad things I'm dealing with. And they don't get over that hurdle because it's stressful. It's a lot of work.
It's hard, yeah.
And so her desire was the catalyst to be like, okay, I think it's time. And I love Austin. Don't get me wrong. Austin Tech. I mean, I'm a
absolutely love
Texas boy. I went to Texas A&M undergrad. You know, born and raised in San Antonio. Moved away, came back. I love Austin, but I'm tired of Austin.
Yeah.
It's not the place that you think of now when you read about it because it's blowing up. It's too big, and it's too small of a city to have that many people.
It's like too big for its britches, I feel,
Yeah.
right? Like that, where it's
A
like
little.
it's outgrown
Yeah.
itself a little
Yeah.
bit.
It kind of has. One of the things that we've talked about before, and I think we even mentioned it like when your dad was up here, when we've had just a couple people visit now. One of the differences that really has like stricken me is that Minneapolis and the Twin Cities kind of seems to know what it is, like in terms of its identity.
Yeah.
It's certainly an older city, and there's older architecture, and there's just more kind of establishment. And I don't mean that negatively at all. I mean that in the
I think
most
it's a good
positive
thing.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like it just feels like very kind of like sure of itself. I mean, that's maybe a weird way to say it, but I do feel like we love Austin, but I think Austin is just like, it's having a bit of an identity crisis. I think it really knew what it was before. And
Back
I
in the
think
80s and 90s, it knew what
now
it was.
Yeah.
it's just because so many people have been so attracted to it and want to go there, then that obviously changes the makeup of everything.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's just different than, and I didn't even realize I moved to Austin in 2011, not really realizing like I was part of that. Like I was also contributing to like that change. You know,
it experienced such a population boom
totally
in the last 10 years. I mean, I've never been there, but I have spent time with people who, like you, moved it from there, and just came away from them. Yeah, like
even more than that. I think it's more like 20 years. I mean, I do think that like I was part of that change when I moved there, and then in the time we were there, it just grew exponentially. You know, it's definitely it's a big city now.
From San Antonio to Dallas along I-35, and I-35 goes that far down.
Yeah,
yes, it does.
People don't know. Yeah,
it's one big city essentially, and so it's a nightmare driving on that highway.
Yeah.
Traffic is terrible, and I'll tell you, I was getting sick of the heat.
We hear that a lot too.
I love weather's always important, but when you have from May until November, 100+ degrees all the time. Now, obviously, by the time you get to November, it's like in the 80s and 90s. But like, it's miserable.
Yeah.
You know, and with the winter, at least I could put stuff on. Like I put coats on, and I met a guy at my office here in Minneapolis, and he's like, "Yeah, I lived in Dallas for 20 years and got sick of it and moved back to hometown here in Minneapolis." It's like most places, there's always going to be a period of really crappy weather, and you just got to deal with it. He's like, unless you live in California, he goes, but then California has its own issues.
Other things to deal with there.
I don't know. I'm convinced that if Minneapolis, St. Paul didn't have cold weather, people would be flocking here like crazy.
Yeah.
So what did Prince say? Keeps out the riffraff.
That's what we'd always heard.
Assholes
So I think that's a good thing. But anyway,
I thought I've never had until you were just talking is that when in the really hot climates, which we help a good amount of people from, the longest days in terms of light are like the ones that you can't really go outside.
Yeah.
That's never occurred to me. Whereas like if we
Yeah.
have these like short, winter days, that's a negative that it's like cold and short days. But it's like, it's just, I love our long summer days and just like being out all day and from, 8 to 10 or 7 to it's like it's so nice.
And that is kind of the other thing about it too, is that in Austin anyway, you're just so much further south that like the days are a little more like, sure, the sun sets earlier in the winter and stays out later, but the days lengths change, but not the same way that they do up here. I mean, unfortunately, the days are really short, and it gets dark at 4:30, and that blows
with daylight
whatever.
Time,
but then in the we were here in July, which is shortly after the longest day, and it's like it doesn't stay late until 10:30 down there, though. You know what I mean? Like the long nights are really, really long here too, and then with the weather being so nice that time of year, that we were just we loved it. We absolutely love July. Like we were like, this is the best.
It's pretty cool.
This is the best ever. Yeah.
I'm curious about, so let's go back to those recon trips when you were still kind of on the fence. What were some things when you were coming to the Twin Cities, for those 3 trips, that kind of made you feel like this could be the place for us?
100% the green space.
Yeah.
I just got back from New York City on a business trip last week, and one of my partners and I were talking about how in just Manhattan proper, other than Central Park, there wasn't, he's like, just not much green space here. And I'm like, well, let me tell you about Minneapolis. It really blows my mind how much green space there's here that exists, and the bike paths and the bike trails. I read an article recently where it said Minneapolis is the best cycling city in the country.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And when you think of a city that gets so cold in the winter, like, how is that possible?
Right.
Like, well, 30, 40 degrees, people are all going to be out. So for me, it was the green space, 100%. And then when you just drive around town, I don't know, there was like an energy. All these people are out, they're walking, like everybody's walking in the neighborhoods, everybody's waving at each other, talking to each other in the corner. People in Austin are friendly, but
absolutely.
Midwest nice, Minnesota nice, Iowa nice. I mean, that's a real thing where people really are friendly with each other here. And that kind of blew my mind a little bit.
That's really nice to hear from somebody coming from somewhere else.
Part of it was, for me anyway, I didn't really want a big city. I'm more small town, right? And so, unlike him, who I think, really wanted that, this was such like a nice compromise for us because I feel like this is a big city. There is a lot here. I think because there's not a lot of other really major cities nearby. I mean, the next is probably Chicago, that you've, when people tour, they're going to stop here, and it has professional sports. Like, it has all of the things that you'd want in a major metro city, because it is a big city, but it doesn't feel like it. Like, all the little neighborhoods felt small and quaint, and like they had their own vibes. And I really felt like that's what I wanted. I didn't want to feel like I lived in a big city because I really didn't have a desire to do that. But
Yeah.
so again, it was just this really nice compromise where it was like it had both.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say it a lot. It's kind of like Goldilocks zone for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Size, economy, you know, cost. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it
Yeah.
kind of fits in real
Just
nice.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anything in particular that you, I guess, were like nervous about, or like
Yeah.
preconceived notions that you were like, ooh, I don't know.
You want to talk to yours?
Yeah,
Because
so
I think I know what you're gonna say.
So going back to Minnesota Nice,
Yeah.
Minnesota gets a reputation for being very insular, right? The idea that everybody's really nice, but at the same time, people that are from here kind of stick to their own. Like one of the guys I met in my office, he's like, "Hey, welcome to St. Paul." He goes, "But I probably won't invite you over for dinner because," he goes, "I only hang out with my buddies from high school." And I'm like,
said that to
"Yeah,
me.
he actually said that." But I will say,
It's honest, I guess.
yeah, I mean, so there is some of that, but so I find that you just got to try a little harder to meet people because already we've been here since July, and neighbors of ours who are from here have invited us over.
Yeah.
I've gone to happy hours. I played pool with my next door neighbor
Yeah,
and his
yeah.
buddies. Half of them are from Minnesota, half of them from out of town. So it's not widespread. It's not like you're going to get here and everybody's going to shut the door when
Yeah,
they see
yeah.
you coming. So I was a little nervous because, expanding a law firm. Now, keep in mind, we do a lot of institutional real estate work, so we're representing companies and insurance brokers and real estate agents and all that. So it wasn't like I was looking for individuals, but at the same time, I was like, oh man, am I going to have a hard time reaching out?
Sure.
And so far, I haven't.
I think that was
experienced
definitely our
that.
biggest fear, was
Yeah.
just that like we could pitch this, and then if professionally we couldn't make it work, then that would have been the end of it.
And I'm not concerned about that anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That-
it's
Oh,
a
that's
little
good to
still
hear.
probably still early to tell, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not top of mind.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, are you gonna go through it and then be like, we got to move back? Or-
Well, yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we just if we don't make any money, then
It's always a
isn't gonna work,
concern for
so,
sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
The insular thing, that's the thing that we've heard too, is it's really cliquey, it's impossible to make friends. That's why we started doing the meetups. But we haven't really heard that from our clients. You hear that from the people when they're like reaching out initially. They're like, we hear this is a thing. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know that to be a fact. Obviously we're from here, so
It's harder to tell when you've lived here pretty much your whole life. And I got to be honest, I do still spend a lot of time with friends that I've had for 20 plus years.
I do too.
So,
I mean, we
Yeah,
all
you
do.
do, yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't really.
Yeah.
Bradford came here yesterday.
Yeah. He's one of like three.
Okay,
maybe.
well, all right,
Yeah, but
yeah.
but yeah, I don't know that like, I think for one, there are people moving here.
Yeah,
and so there's a
totally.
little bit more of an expat, or
Yeah.
that where there's more people needing people to hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, yeah, there's a bunch of Fortune 500 companies here, and so
God, yeah.
Sure.
half the people in my building are not even from Minnesota.
Yeah.
So like, if you're having a hard time meeting Minnesotans, there's a lot of people from the Midwest. Iowans are really nice.
We tend
Absolutely.
to be. Yeah.
I
Not
married
all-
one.
not all
Salt of
of
the
us,
earth.
but most of us.
Yeah.
Their offense isn't great.
Too soon.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's I think that's such a generic statement that people make. Same with Minnesota Nice is just passive aggressive. It's like, I don't know, I don't think that's true. I think a lot of it is just polite, and some people, it's like, would you rather than just be polite or just there's like the East Coast where they want you to call them out, and it's like, I don't know, it's just like not really how it's done here as much, but I think of it as like manners, but
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
I don't know.
I got another one for you. This is gonna be weird.
Good, hit us.
I'm a big foodie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
Austin has a vibrant food scene,
Yeah.
and it's fantastic. It's
Food in Austin is
yeah.
amazing. It's hard to beat.
It-
Yeah.
and I'm growing up in San Antonio, half my friends are Hispanic, and so like growing up on breakfast tacos and authentic Mexican food was, it's like, oh man, is the food gonna be okay here? Food's great here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
totally.
it's different. It's different in that there's a lot of focuses on different kind of things here. But what I love about the Twin Cities is, even though, so I felt like, okay, Mexican food's gonna be non-existent up here. Well, that's not true. No. There's some great Mexican restaurants, and all the Asian restaurants are fantastic, from Thai, Vietnamese. I'll admit this, I didn't know what Hmong was.
Yeah.
That's
Sure. Oh,
it's
yeah.
really cool. I didn't realize the population here, the grocery stores they have, and the food is fantastic. So So anyone that's coming from a vibrant foodie town, I'd say the Twin Cities has it. And even though COVID kind of knocked out a lot of restaurants and bars, I think things are coming back. That's just my personal opinion. So yeah, so I was nervous about the food scene. So when we did our recon, we went out of our way to go to some nice restaurants here.
We did. We've already tried some of the.
There's some great food here. So
that's awesome to hear. Yeah, that's also nice to hear from someone coming from somewhere else, especially a
Yeah.
place like Austin, which has such like a great reputation for that type of thing.
Yeah.
There's what barbecue? What are we lacking the most?
So Texas barbecue.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, you're just not going to compete with Texas, but there's things that. But I think I kind of like that, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the world's getting so small where you can find really good stuff everywhere. But
Sure.
I feel like it's nice when a certain area has a specialty. So like Austin, I mean, I'm sure if someone's listening, like, well, Jason, you're based in no good Italian food. I mean, no good French bakeries, no Italian bakeries. I'm sure if you Google, you'll find some, but like it's not widespread. But the French pastry places here, wow.
Yeah. What we lost in taquerias, we made up for in bakeries.
And other variety.
Nice trade-off.
Yeah.
I guess.
Which is
Gotta
nice.
get your
They
taste.
both playing to their strengths. So
I mean,
yeah.
The little Italian market in downtown St. Paul is really cool.
Cassata
I mean,
or
yeah,
whatever.
and it's legit.
Cassata.
We just
Yeah.
went there, last weekend. It was really fun.
Well,
Yeah.
you went to
Beautiful.
the
Off the
European market.
We went to the European market on
Oh,
Sunday.
Christmas
That was really
market.
fun.
Christmas
That
market.
was really
Yeah,
cute.
That was
really
really
fun.
cool. We got
That's
some
really
of the
cool.
mulled spice wine.
We did.
Yeah.
Walked
That was
around.
really cool. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
Highly recommend it.
Cool.
Yeah.
We're still kind of
We're
learning
definitely
about
still
places.
early
Yeah.
stage exploring. Yeah, we made a very conscious effort when we first, because we moved in the summer, and it was so blistering hot in Texas when we moved. We were and we were just it just felt like such relief. We're we're gonna walk and we're gonna take advantage of the green space and the infrastructure and all of that. So we spent a lot of weekends there this summer and early fall just walking. Walking down the Mississippi. We'd find a lake. We'd do.
I wasn't allowed to go to a brewery unless we could
Yeah,
walk
I
to
made
it.
him walk. I go. He said, "I want to try a
Good
brewery."
rule,
And I was like, "Great, if we can walk to it, we'll go." And so he's like, "It's 3 miles," and I was like, "That's not that far."
And there's a lot of breweries in our house.
A 3 mile radius. Yeah, I'm sure.
So we did that, and then we've kind of put off then maybe doing more of the art scene, the museum, more of that kind of stuff for this winter. Because I was like, when it gets cold, that'll be the opportunity to
Right on.
go do that. So don't ask us those questions because we won't have any answers.
All good.
All right, you haven't been here that long yet.
We've not been here long enough to really do that.
That's
kind of
good.
stuff.
One of my pet peeves is when people on their recon trip just do museums and stuff. I'm
Oh, yeah.
That's not what it is to
And
live here.
I love that kind of stuff, but I'm like, those are winter activities.
You do that when you live here.
Or when you live here. Yeah.
Or if you aren't going to live here and it's vacation, okay.
Sure.
But yeah, it's
Sure.
the goal is to try to figure out if you want to live somewhere, what good does going to the science
Right.
museum?
Right.
You know,
Right.
Exactly.
I just don't get it. This was a cool place, but yeah. Once you were set on Minnesota, and I guess I remember some of this because I showed you around. What areas were on your short list within the cities?
I don't.
It was
I think
almost
they were
all the
south.
city, right?
It was almost eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think our first recon trips, we definitely were kind of looking more in the burbs, southern burbs, and then I
We
don't even
realized
really.
we wanted to be in the city.
Yeah. So one of the other things, I guess we did finally come to the conclusion where if we were going to live in the burbs, we could do that anywhere. And so why would we want to do that here?
Not to take away from the burbs,
No.
they're all great, but a burb is a burb.
Yeah,
sure.
I
and
think we
there's-
just, we could have stayed in Austin and stayed in the burb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or we could have gone to a smaller community and done that. So I think we were like, okay, well then we should take advantage of being in the city, especially a city that was this walkable. And we said that word a lot when we were doing our recon trips, is that we really wanted to walk. I'm like, if you're gonna make me live in a big city, which I'm like, already kind of on the fence on, I want it to be walkable. I want to be able to do the things then that you can only do in larger, communities.
Yeah,
And
I want
so-
the assets available to
Correct.
me of the city. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really important. So then we just wanted to make sure all of the neighborhoods we looked at then, if we looked at a house, it needed to have a market within a 2-3 block radius, because I was like, when it does snow and it is icy and I don't feel comfortable driving out there, I want to be able to walk to get eggs and milk or whatever.
Totally.
That was important to me. So
Did any of those neighborhoods, other than the one that you moved to, which we'll get to shortly, but any of those stick out in your head as ones that you particularly liked?
Linden Hills.
Wow.
Okay.
What's one with King in it?
Kingfield.
Kingfield.
Kingfield,
Kingfield.
we looked in
So-
Kingfield, and then anything around there that you guys,
All those Chain Lake neighborhoods.
Sure.
Badema-Casca, Calvin.
We looked near
Calvin.
Lake
There
Nokomis
it
quite a
is,
bit.
yeah.
Cedar.
Yeah. Cedar, yeah.
Yeah, we kind of focused in that area. So.
Those are some beautiful neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Those
Oh, yeah.
lakes are gorgeous.
Really.
I mean,
Yeah.
And how you can walk around them, you know, how it's all public. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The areas around Lake Nokomis. That
Yeah,
area
we looked
too.
around there a lot.
We looked around
Lake
there.
Harriet a lot.
We
Yeah.
did a little bit in St. Paul. We looked a little bit in St. Paul.
We did?
I mean,
Oh, yeah,
that's where you
um,
ended up, right?
I call it the triangle.
The southern triangle.
Yeah, Summit Avenue, the Highland
Oh.
Park, all that area. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did look through there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think about that one place we looked at from time to time. That like
Oh,
condo.
I
like
do too.
yesterday it came to mind. I was like, man, that was a crazy place. It's just a condo on Summit.
On Summit?
Yeah,
Okay.
and so
Converted
it
mansion?
was very
Absol-
cool.
It was
But
absolutely insane.
Gorgeous.
bordering on opulent though.
Yeah.
Where it was like
Bordering?
Yeah.
Was it a converted mansion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
3 units or something
Yeah.
like that, and
The
yeah.
woodwork was just.
He was
stunning.
like,
crazy.
I like kept like inching towards the door. He's like, "Why are you leaving?" Like, I don't feel like I belong here. Like, I just
Yeah,
don't
I
feel
know.
like I should be in this house.
That resonated with me though. Yeah, it's like
Too
yeah.
fancy?
This
Yeah.
is too fancy.
You need to have like a butler.
Yeah.
It was
tux,
truly-
I'm gonna have to buy all new clothes.
Whoever
if
bought
I
that
live-
house.
new
Yeah.
car. I wouldn't
Oh
have fit
yeah,
the neighborhood.
you talked about your car.
That's what he said. He's
Yeah.
like, "Why don't you?" He's like, "Why are you uncomfortable?" I go, "I drive a Ford Fusion." I was like, I feel like that should say it right
I can't
there.
pull my Ford Fusion up to this house. Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
Totally.
that's really.
It was
yeah.
absolutely stunning. It was absolutely stunning.
It was
yeah.
so cool. It was like 3 stories. It was a crazy
Yeah, it was
place.
amazing.
Right on. And so, were you guys looking all in person, or did you do any virtual showings?
We did. Yeah, we did some
A
virtual
few,
shows.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You did a few for us.
Yeah, Jesse-
How did you find that? The watching via video.
I thought it was great because you know it's difficult when you're out of state, and
Sure.
so our recon trips, you know, we did them. They were affordable, but you're still spending lots of money on a rental
Time.
car
Oh my
And
gosh.
taking a Friday
Time,
off or a
taking a
Monday
Friday
off.
off.
and
yeah.
crossing your fingers that
Yeah.
like the right house is gonna be on
Exactly,
the market while
yeah.
you're here.
How many houses do we look at when you were here on that? Where we actually were looking for the first time?
I don't know how many.
10?
I was just gonna say 8 or 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe I was
Probably
gonna say a
all
dozen.
total.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was all. I mean, this is a pretty common when people for fans of if you like Linden Hills, you're probably like Fulton and Tangletown
Yeah.
and Lyndhurst
Yep.
and Kingfield.
All those.
Yeah, and then probably over like Keewaydin and stuff by Nokomis, maybe a little bit of Longfellow, that southern triangle of St. Paul. So it was mostly those areas.
Yeah.
St. Anthony Park.
Which was funny though. We didn't look in St. Anthony Park because there
I
were
hadn't even heard of it.
because
Didn't
there's
know it
like
existed.
there's like 30 houses. So
Yeah.
like there's never
not a lot of stock.
yeah there
usually
was
there.
nothing to look at. Yeah, and actually I remember that one. I was like, this one's pretty cool. And then
Well, you knew what we liked by that point.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think
So,
you
yeah,
got,
tell
you
the
really
listeners
got, like,
here,
a
where
good
did you
sense
end
of,
up?
like, what we liked. Yeah.
Well, we ended up at St. Anthony Park
In
and
St.
it's-
Paul,
In St.
which I think you
Paul,
have to
and
say.
I think I have to say that because I forget that. I guess St. Anthony back in the day had a monopoly on the
He had a
Twin
hold on
Cities.
this
and
thing. Yeah, it's really
everything was named after him.
that was
in a
killing
headlock.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, because there's like all these different. There's even a town called St. Anthony.
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't even know what St. Anthony Park was, and we weren't looking at it. And I was obsessed with HomeSpotter, your app.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I was on that thing every night. Pour a glass of scotch and just start searching. Right?
Yeah.
Spend a lot of
He
time
he
on
sends us a message out of the blue. He's like, so I'm adding a house onto the search, and I think you're gonna like it. And I remember her. She was like, "Oh my God, this is adorable, and this has got
Yeah.
everything we want." And then
Yeah.
we ended up buying it.
Yeah.
So was that while you were here? Did you see it in person, or did you?
I
see
think
it
it was the
virtually?
next weekend though. I feel like we left on like a Sunday or a Monday, and like you sent us that on like that Thursday. Or
Yeah,
something. I mean, it was
okay.
just like a few days later.
It
So it was
happens like
after
that.
Jesse kind of like knew
Yeah.
what we were into because we had spent that day together looking.
Yeah.
Then you were like, this one,
Yeah.
it's not in the neighborhood, but
And there were 2 in St. Anthony.
Yeah.
that's right.
That I
that's
was
right.
like, man, and then I was like,
They were
man, we
both
didn't
beautiful.
show you these because there was no houses here.
Yeah.
And now there's 2 that like are kind of cool. And I was
Yeah.
like, dang it, like but I hadn't showed them. And I'm like, but it's so similar. Like if
Yeah.
you like Mac Roveland, very few people would be like, no, I don't like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, these are cool. And yeah, the woodwork was a big part of.
Yeah.
It was built in 1923 by
Norwegian.
Norwegian. You call them Swedish. Norwegian wood carver.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so
And,
cool.
and literally 3 doors down from us is the governor's mansion
Former
from like
governor's
former
mansion,
governor's
yeah.
mansion in 18
Whoa.
something.
I forget what year it
And
was
so
built, but-
yeah, that whole Commonwealth Street used to be kind of the premier
It's-
street back in
It's
like
been
the late
really
1800s.
fun to like talk to our neighbors and learn about our street because like governor's mansion, former governor's mansion was like 4 houses down. And then we just had happy hour with our neighbors yesterday. And they showed us that their house used to be the former like horse stables. Oh. And they still had, like, we like went down to their basement and like opened up the like old horse stable doors. And like our house was built on a water tower. And like, this is so weird. Like,
a lot of weird history
fun.
there.
A lot of strange history, but it's really fun. And everybody loves talking about it. So it's like,
super cool house. And you know, it was a funny thing to be like, here's a new area. You know, we looked at 10 areas, and I'm like, shoot, here's another one that we didn't look at. But yeah, luckily you could still make the offer contingent upon inspection and all that stuff.
Did you have to compete with other buyers for that one?
For that one, the Keston one, the other one at San Anthony Park had competition.
Yeah.
This one I don't
didn't,
think so.
but we were kind of threatened there with like, well, we're gonna show it this weekend, and like we might have something, and so. You know, there was a little bit of pressure that way, but
but what's funny is like, I was like, oh, it's a sales technique.
Yeah,
like, the listing agent's just telling us that there's. But after moving in, we found from a lot of our neighbors that sometimes a lot of the houses like, oh, we've been searching for years for a home to open up in the San Anthony Park neighborhood.
I did want to mention that too. Yeah.
I was like, oh crap, okay.
It's so funny. We say this all the time. Like, we just feel like such idiots. Like, we're just walking around like. Jesse just shows us his house, and he's just like, I think maybe you'd like this neighborhood. And we're like hemming and hawing about this house at first. And I can talk to that a little bit too. But then we make an offer, we move in, and then everybody around us is like, how long did it take you to get in this neighborhood? How hard was this? And we were like,
that's crazy. Like fell into it.
Fell into it.
It was just
I've never heard of it before. It's not on our radar at all.
Yeah, we didn't know this place existed. We didn't know anything about this. We just kind of liked this woodwork. And they're like, what? Like, we just feel so lucky that it worked out that way, because now being in there and having talked to people, it was like highly coveted, you know, like we've met people who said like, oh, I couldn't afford it. And so then I had to like wait and get in later. Or others say like, I was ready, but there wasn't a house available. So then I just had to like sit for, I mean, they're talking like a couple years, you know, like 2-3 years to get in. And I was like, oh, we like made an offer and it was accepted. Right, I know, like I just feel so lucky. So
that's awesome to hear.
I mean, it's even just the fact that there were nothing that was even close to what you were looking for the week prior.
Right.
You know, it's just a small.
We got
and good for you for putting it on the radar.
But just I think it was so much about it with the things that we had talked about that you wanted. I was like, oh, this house is
just going to show you a good buyer's agent.
That's what I'm saying.
Provides a lot of value.
No, that's totally true, because like I mean, it had like, it was the right size. You know, we didn't need a big place. It's a little bungalow. It was right, like I said, I wanted to be next to a market. I go there all the time. Like, just it's literally 2 blocks away
from that great corner in San Anthony Park.
Yeah, 3 really good restaurants, or 4 really good restaurants down there. I go to the local hardware store. I mean, sometimes this sounds silly, but like sometimes I feel like I'm in like a Hallmark movie.
I love
walk down
that little block. It feels, and you're like right smack in the middle of Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Yeah,
but you still feel like you're in a little village. It's really cool.
A cute area.
It's
right
like a little European spot. Yeah,
it's a little haven. It's really nice. So
a lot of Scandinavian influence. It's pretty cool.
We're across from a nursing home, which is interesting. They have a lot of live music, which is actually fun.
Really?
Okay. Like the week we moved in.
This summer? Yeah.
The week we moved in, they had this live big band playing, and all of our neighbors. So our house sits on a street that has like a little green space in the middle. So they call it Polar Bear Island. It's like a Commonwealth Park.
I think it's actually called Commonwealth Park, but
But like all the neighbors were getting out with their dogs and their kids, listening to the big band at the nursing home.
Like I said, when we moved in at first, those first few weeks, I was like, did we just like transport into like a rom-com or like the most like beautiful because like this is too cute. Like
that's awesome.
I didn't know places like this existed.
Some guy's gonna knock at the door. We're bulldozing the whole town.
Right.
We gotta save Commonwealth.
That is kind of how
bake
it
sale
feels.
to save.
Yeah, that's kind of how it feels.
A bake sale. That's a good pull. Okay, what? It's interesting. You didn't really have many expectations of the area, right?
No, we didn't.
So I remember you showed up for inspection, right?
I did.
Okay, and you weren't
happy
there.
To talk about that.
Yeah. Like, what was that like? What was that?
So you sent us the video of the house. I think we sat on it for maybe 24 hours before we made an offer. Contingent, I think we had like 5 days.
Yeah.
And so I came up, and because my parents aren't far, they drove up. to meet me because he could not join me. And so came up for the inspection, and I would just advise people that like have a healthy expectation of how that's going to go, especially if you buy a house that's 100 years old, which is what I wanted. I mean, I wanted a 100-year-old house. I knew it would have 100-year-old problems. I mean, so like, you know, I wasn't naive to that. At the same time, like, because we hadn't set our eyes on it ourselves, and then like your first instance is like walking in and you've paid a guy to like point out everything that's wrong with your house was overwhelming. Like, I don't, I'm not usually like a panicker. And then he's not with me to like, I'm kind of like his eyes and ears too. Right. And he and I are so different in so many ways.
Screw it up.
I know. He literally like told me that as I was like getting on the plane in Austin to come up here.
Kind of way. I wasn't serious.
He's like, don't screw this up. And I was like, okay.
That just echoes in your head the whole time.
So, I mean, I do think, and the inspector was so kind because I know he stayed way later than he was supposed to. And you were so kind because you did too. And like,
was it Jeff?
I think so.
Yeah. Older guy?
Yeah.
Love Jeff.
It's so nice. And so, I do think like there was just like, that was probably the only thing that wasn't necessarily ideal, right? Like you make an offer on, you just have to be in the right mindset. You have to know that like, first of all, you could back out, you know, if I'd still had that opportunity, and then maybe make sure that both of you were there.
Some people, nobody's there.
I know, and that's wild. That's wild.
We'll do a virtual, but it's a good amount of people do. I think the older the house, the scarier that
and I was
is.
just going to say, like, or like if you're buying a house that's like 10, 15 years old at the most, probably don't have to worry about it. But for us, it was a little like, I don't know, the house had like the things that we were interested in and that we loved about it were like completely there, like 100%. Like the things that were there were exquisite.
What do you say? Good bones.
Good bones. And but the things that need work, like they need a lot of work. So I mean, there's just that healthy mix that we had to like know. You know,
we were open to that. Like we knew that if we're going to buy an old house, things are going to fall apart, right? You're going to find some less than ideal situations, and you just got to be ready to fix it. And you know, we're basically gutting the kitchen, we're remodeling it. And
I'm excited to see what that.
We'll totally have you over.
So I mean, we've had a few things here and there pop up, nothing major, but you know, my response is, hey, it's a 100-year-old house.
And we wanted a project. Like we went into it with that mindset, and we were really fortunate to find what we found. But it is a little like my first experience in the house was somebody literally pointing out the things that I wouldn't have even seen, you know, like,
totally.
So
that's
that is a little
point
overwhelming.
That it can be overwhelming for sure, especially because like I'm sure I've not, you know, it's been a long time since I've moved now, but like the range of emotions that you go through of excitement to, like nervousness.
And the reality setting it. Totally. It doesn't help that like my dad's super handy, which is wonderful, but at the same time, like I can see his head. Like he's thinking like he's fixing all of these things, you know what I mean? And like he starts to get overwhelmed, and my dad doesn't usually panic much, and I'm like, I can see him start to, and I was like, like Dad, this isn't your house, this is my house.
Feeding off him just being like,
But you can change things about your house. You can't change the neighborhood.
That's exactly
a great point, because if the things that you do prioritize, it has the walkability. You mentioned it a few times now. It's difficult to find a house or any property that's built, unless you're going condo or townhome, that was built within the last 10 years that has that type of walkability.
Right.
Yeah.
In a nice, safe neighborhood too. Do you know? Everybody just talks about how like, I mean, it's just chill's a good word for it. It's just
big
really
community. Everybody looks out for each other. I think.
And everybody has been there for a really long time. You know, like speaking to how it was hard to find a house in there, and people have had to wait to get in there. And once they're there, they're not gonna mess it up. You know what I mean? So I think there was a lot of that too, where it's just a very like diverse mix of people, but a lot of them have been there, or they're like second, third generation in there. And so, I mean, it's like they know they have something special that they don't want to mess up. So
nice. I'm sure. It's a little bit of like, no, we're gonna hold on to this. You know? Maybe we shouldn't get to that yet, but I'm curious if you're willing to talk about the final walkthrough situation and the shared driveway.
Oh yeah. So
I'm glad to see you've kind of forgotten about it.
So it's funny. These old neighborhoods, something I'm not used to is a lot of times they're all detached garages, and they'll have this shared street where you go down and then you park like right off the street into your garage. Our house, is adjacent to another house, and so both two houses share this little tiny driveway.
Right. We don't have an alley, but we have just shared with them.
And so my question was like, so who owns this driveway? And like who?
Well, we're lawyers.
Yeah, real estate lawyers, right? So I'm like, okay, so who owns this? And I don't know if I can say this, but like the listing agent was very like nonchalant about it. Like, oh yeah, it's in the paperwork. And I'm like, no, we got to figure this out.
Yeah.
And the people that so it's funny, the people that sold us the house, they live right next door. And they've turned out to be very lovely and delightful, so we're happy about that.
They're who we had happy hour with last night.
Yeah. We had happy hour with them. They invited us over to tea. They're wonderful.
It's good to
people.
hear. Yeah,
it's like you never know, right?
Yeah.
And so they were like, oh yeah, we'll just split the costs of like snowplow and maintenance. And I'm like, okay, well we got to put it in writing because even if you guys are nice, you may sell it and
sure.
the subsequent person. So, but we found out that it was an old easement from like the 1800s.
It's split down the middle.
Yeah,
isn't it?
and
it's like. It's
property
50-50.
Yeah, the property was like split right down the driveway, and so we I think the title company found the documents, right?
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh, there is no easement." The sellers,
Yeah.
And we're like, "Really?" But they own both, so I guess it didn't matter to them.
Okay.
I mean,
Not
must
at
have
all.
at some point. I can't imagine they bought both at the same time.
They didn't.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no.
But yeah, they're like, "Oh, there is no easement," and we're like, "Really?" It kind of felt like, "No, nothing about this."
Yeah.
Any time ever. And so title dug and they were like, there is one. We don't have it yet. They ordered it, and by the time we got it, it was like, I think you were like, that's fine.
That's
fine,
enough.
That's
enough.
Yeah, we just needed like something, right?
It just says that we have an easement, like so. Yeah, it's two easements, and so it just doesn't say talk about maintenance. And
But
so
I mean, she had this Google Doc, like here's what I think, and I'm like, that's probably not gonna fly. Yeah.
I'm just curious. Is it double wide? Like, can you?
No.
Okay, so you
No,
one at a
single
time
lane,
have to
yeah.
go in and out. Okay, gotcha.
So we have a 2-car garage,
Yeah.
and they have a 2-car garage, but when you go back, we have a
just
little pad in
ease
front of the garage. They have a little pad, but it's a little tight.
Yeah.
It's a little tight.
But it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Who shovels?
Nobody yet.
Nobody yet.
Oh, you haven't lived there in the winter.
So
yet.
we've had 2 snowfalls since we moved here,
And
but
it's
like
warmed up so fast that it hasn't mattered.
yeah, it melted.
Okay.
And I bought a 4-wheel drive car, and I can just plow right through that.
Yeah,
so if I
he's
feel
not-
lazy,
Probably
It's
me.
your
I think is the
turn.
answer to that question. I
Yeah.
think probably me since I'm working from home.
they hired an outfit to plow or shovel it, whatever. But they don't show up till 6 or 7 o'clock.
They've
at
warned
night.
us that we're like last on their list.
Yeah,
So.
I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll just drive through it.
Yeah.
Because all of them work from home.
pack it
except for
down
me,
and then let
so.
Lindsay.
And honestly, the craziest snow, your car will be fine doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a very fascinating
It was.
dynamic that I've never been a part of. Where, and then if there's any kind of friction, it's like, man, the sellers are the neighbors.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Sure.
So it's been fine.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely fine. They're lovely. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But that is in the back here. We just
You
talked
got to
about
tread
it.
lightly because you're like, I don't want to piss these people off. They're my neighbors.
They're my neighbors
Totally.
now.
Yeah.
We just talked to them a little bit about it last night too. Where like, I guess she's been asked like, well, are you going to be mad if they like change things in the house? Because like that was just your house.
Yeah,
and
true.
she's like,
Did they live there? Who lived there?
They did at one point, and then I think her parents were
Yeah.
living there
Okay.
most recently, like the last 4-5 years.
Kinda like
But
an
they've owned
in-law
the
house.
house. I think they said they bought the house in 2005, so they'd had it for a while before.
Okay.
But so I don't, it's just kind of it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
It's like they're
Totally,
gonna see
yeah,
all the
yeah.
things that we do, and
It makes negotiating very different. It
Yeah.
adds another layer of complexity to where you're like, I mean, we could just do this, and they might go for it, but it might piss them off.
Yeah.
yeah, Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, whereas normally you're kind of like, I don't really mind pissing somebody off.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
less concerned about
If you're
their,
about to
their
not have anything to
feelings.
do with them.
Right,
But yeah,
right,
you're like,
right.
they literally are. Yeah.
Yeah, we were very mindful of that too.
Yeah.
when we were talking about some things. So.
Yeah.
It worked
But
out though. so.
Everything's worked out.
That's
Nice.
awesome. Very good.
It helps
news.
Interesting
that-
dynamic.
You've got just the right demeanor. I think we kind of said.
Yeah,
I
sometimes.
think as they
So
when they showed up and they were, they could tell we weren't mad about some things. Then
Yeah.
I'm sure it
everything's been
helped
cool.
that you
Yeah.
with your law background, that because you kind of knew what to do to
Sure.
you know what I'm saying, or at least like what you needed to feel good about it. Whereas like if somebody didn't have that
Yeah.
knowledge base, be like, well, I don't know what are we even talking about here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the laws surrounding real estate disclosures and what you guys do are very similar to Texas. And so I had a lot of people say, why the hell did you hire a real estate? Just do it yourself. I'm like, well, I know nothing about Minnesota, and I need
That's what we don't know
someone
about.
to guide me through that process. And
Sure.
so, yeah, I probably could have done it myself, but
It would have been miserable.
We wouldn't
we
be
would
in-
not have found the house.
we wouldn't have found the
yeah,
house
I
that we
mean,
found.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't have found that house. Yeah, no, never.
You living in a van down by the river.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. What was the moving process like? How did you get all your stuff here? What were the logistics? Who handled the logistics? Even split?
Kind of both of us.
Okay.
Yeah. I suppose you're the one that actually got it. We did a pod.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did. We knew we were moving so far in advance that like we had kind of started to like get rid of stuff in our house, so it wasn't like a crash. Like
did
right
you
at the end,
own
just,
in
like,
Austin? You might have.
We
said
did
this.
own our house
Okay.
in Austin. Yeah. And so we were kind of slowly like paring
Boxing
stuff down
stuff
a little
up.
bit, boxing things up, and then
Get rid of stuff too.
yeah, that's what I'm
I
trying
was
to
like,
say.
sell everything and buy all
Yeah,
new stuff.
which we
I
didn't do,
no,
by the way.
yeah,
We did
no.
not sell everything. We kept most of our stuff. But
Because we downsized. We went from a house that was 2,800 square feet to a little bungalow that was 18. I mean, it's just two of us.
Wasn't quite
1,800.
that big.
Now,
Yeah.
if we no,
21, I think.
anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a bigger house, and then we
It
went to a
is-
little bungalow that's now 18. It can be 28 if we finish out the basement. That's another project that we're gonna do.
Yeah.
So like we were downsizing a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and so we wanted to get rid, and we did that intentionally. We wanted to force ourselves. You should see my parents' house, and I don't care if they hear this and see this. They got way too much crap.
Yeah.
It's two people living in
Yeah.
like a 5,000 square
It's a
foot home in
beautiful home.
Charlotte, and it's like why?
Yeah.
I don't know. I got a lot of friends that move into these giant mansions. I'm like, it's just two of us.
Well, but it is interesting in that, like, we did pick an older home because Minneapolis, the Twin Cities offered that, which would have been really hard to find in Austin, to be honest. Like, we would not have found the home that we found here, even if we'd like just moved within the city.
Yeah.
But it goes to, I think, speak to like how new homes are built so differently. Like our home was technically a little bit bigger, but not substantially. But just the layout of it was so different. Do you know what I mean? And like you can
More
have these
open.
big pieces of furniture, and you can have all that. And then we moved into this 100-year-old house. We're like, yeah, none of that's working here.
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
like
Yeah.
it doesn't fit up the stairs, and there's like these little like cubby spaces, and so we've had to kind of adjust, I think, how we live a little
Yeah.
bit just because of that. Like it's not that much smaller, but it kind of does feel smaller just
Yeah.
because of the way it's laid out. But we don't personally mind that. I think we kind of looked for that, but
Well, so we
But
so
then
to
you
answer
wanna
your
talk about
question,
moving.
yeah, we used a pod
and a U-Haul.
and a U-Haul, and so we
Yeah,
decided to
we
drive.
did both.
I looked into professional movers and all that, and because I guess I got way too many rich friends. They're like, oh no, just pay. people to
Everybody
do it."
told us to
Yeah,
like
just
we
pay
were
it.
insane to move ourselves. Everybody told us
Yeah,
that.
everybody thought we were
Yeah.
crazy for doing it ourselves, and I'm like calling these companies like, oh yeah, 30-40 grand to pack everything up and ship it up to the Twin Cities. I'm like, 40 grand? They go, well, yeah, Minnesota's far. I'm like, yeah, but it's just
We're
up
like-
I-35. It's
That
like,
is stunning. That
That
number
is
is
really
honestly like
I
shocking.
don't remember what we spent on the pod. We did get the biggest one they had. I mean, so whatever that runs.
Did you find that process, the one that you ended up going with, to be smooth, or would you have done something differently?
No, I would do it the same. I
Okay.
mean, as for as many kinks as it might have technically had, it's still what I would have done again.
Yeah, I guess the downside of the pod was human error. My dad and I loaded up the pod, and so some things
A
broke.
few things, but
Okay.
nothing. I don't think we lost anything more than we would have if we'd had movers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, yeah, there's a few casualties, but nothing.
And I sold my car before, like literally
Yeah.
the week we were moving. I
like
sold my car.
like the day.
interesting.
Was it the day?
I think
of?
it was the day before you got rid of your car.
I got rid of my car the day of.
you had like a rear-wheel drive car, right?
I had
Yeah.
a Dodge Challenger RT.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
driving that in the snow.
That's worthless in the snow.
Yeah, it's a worthless car. I love that.
It was a
car.
beautiful car.
So I sold it to someone down there, and so she had her car. I had the U-Haul.
then we
My
had-
dad flew down to kind of help us, and then we had 3 cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I mean, I guess cost wise, it was the U-Haul, the pod, and then like his dad's like travel time. He
Right,
came
yeah.
to us to help us do all of that. There's no way we could have done it without him. So I do,
Even our next door neighbor.
lean
came
on
out
family and
helped us.
friends, I guess, because if you
Sure.
choose to go that route, because
Yeah.
like it is hard otherwise. But
We
yeah.
found most of the people that we help kind of go some mixture of that, what you just described.
Yeah.
You can pay local movers too to unpack a pod, which I think is a pretty nice
Yeah.
blend.
Yeah.
Like just show up and help us bring this in.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You know, did we do
We-
that?
we actually
did
did
do
that.
that. I
So-
forgot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So the pod didn't get there until a week after we moved in. So we had a week where we just had our stuff from the
That's
U-Haul.
right. That's
And
right.
So,
And his dad had already gone back, and
It was
so
just
we
the
just
two of
needed
us.
more help. Yeah, we had
I-
some heavy stuff on there.
Yeah, so we called some guys,
That's right. Yeah.
2 men in a truck or something
Yeah.
like that. one
Yeah,
of
they
those
were
companies.
awesome.
And
Yeah.
2 kids showed up, a lot bigger than me, and just like
Nice.
within like 30 minutes, they got everything.
It
in.
was. It was
quick,
short.
so.
Yeah.
Money well spent though.
It was
Yeah.
money well
Yeah.
spent. I think it was like
I forget how much that was. It was not very much. Yeah.
If while you were doing it yourself, somebody was like, $300, I'll do this for you. You'd be like, take my money. You know? Yeah.
We were pretty. I mean, that was at the end of it too, right? We packed and we'd driven and we'd already unpacked a U-Haul, so like we were exhausted by that point.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
yeah.
Okay, so you're officially residents of Minnesota.
Yeah.
You made the move from Austin. What do you like best about living here?
4 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
Fall
probably.
here was spectacular.
Pretty sweet.
I love when people get to experience
The weather.
all of fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fall
On their
was
first-
beautiful.
Yeah.
We just. So we check in with each other once in a while, be like, did we do the right thing? You know, like,
Yeah,
sure.
you know, like,
Smart.
how did this go? And we had dinner 2-3 weeks ago, and I just kind of told him, like, we've already experienced, like, there were a couple nights there in August. So our air doesn't work great in our upstairs. Like, we do have central air, but we only have, like, one intake, so the hot air just doesn't go. So there were a couple nights where it was, like, uncomfortable. Like, it was too warm, you know, like, to, like, get a good night's sleep. I'm like, just think, we've already experienced that when we moved here to like a beautiful fall that seemed to kind of really last a long time to like where, you know, everything's fallen and it's kind of dead and dormant. And I'm like, we've been here 4 months, you know, like, and we've kind of already like gone through all that. I'm like, to me, that was really fun.
I hear
Spring
spring
is
is gorgeous.
I just feel like we haven't been here that long to have experienced all of that already.
Yeah,
so.
Sure.
You would have so we had a snow this Halloween, and I'm told that's unusual here.
Yeah.
And
1992.
Except
Okay.
for 1 year.
Yeah.
So like Halloween night, we're gonna knock, and one of our neighbors, she's like, "So sorry that we brought winter to you guys so fast." I'm like, "Are you kidding?" The morning of, the two of us are out there taking photos. Like, this is so awesome. And she's like, "All right, I'll ask you again."
She's like, you're the only ones that like this.
Seriously.
Yeah. One thing I was glad about is that snow didn't knock all like the leaves off the trees.
No, it didn't.
So like
Yeah.
fall. Sometimes if too much snow comes in, it's just like falls over.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, that sucks. But there was a lot of that beauty got to stay around for a while longer, which was nice.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fall was. It was really nice.
And spring. I'm excited for y'all. It's just like it's like a cycle of life. Everything comes alive, and you know.
The best thing is people come back to life. 'Cause,
Yeah.
especially if the winter is longer. But like there is such a palpable sense of energy.
Yeah, a buzz of
when
activity.
the weather does
that's
start to
fun.
turn.
That's
It's
cool.
really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like people embrace the winter here too. I mean, it's going to be cold, so you can't really like avoid it. We've got a neighbor. I haven't seen her yet because it hasn't snowed enough yet, but apparently when second it hits, she cross country skis all day,
Oh, right on.
every morning.
Yeah.
She's 30 years older than I am, and she's
Oh, wow.
she's out there like
fit.
everybody's
Yeah,
like, you will
that's a
see her
workout.
out there. And they set up the little rink, just kind of waiting for it to get cold in the park. And so I just feel like there's a full embrace of winter too, because
Totally.
you have to.
You
right?
gotta.
And you
It's too many days to not.
yeah,
To not do it.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So like, why shy away from it? So, yeah, I don't know.
That's
I mean, the Four Seasons is probably mine as well.
Okay.
Obviously, I like the proximity to my family. I mean, I think if you were to ask, it was like, it would be. We picked the Twin Cities because of its size and location, and then just the fact that like it does have weather. It has 4 seasons. It has like that change. I think we wanted all of those things. We wanted different weather.
Yeah.
Which I think anybody, if they were from Austin listening to this, they'd think I'm nuts because they love, they love the heat. They can't stand the cold. Like I get that.
To each their own.
All my friends, everybody gave us side eye when we told them we were moving to Minneapolis. I mean, everybody. They were like, "You're going where?"
Yeah.
We're like, "Yeah."
But the thing is, a lot of people don't know, like, they don't know much about it. They
Yeah.
know it's cold.
Yeah.
They know Duluth Trading Company because of commercials, right?
Shout out.
Shout out, right?
Yeah.
But like, it's
Yeah.
a lot of people, like, because I didn't know much about it, other than Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a couple caricatures of
Yeah.
what we are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People think real like, white bread, like very
Yeah.
basic everything, but yeah.
No, I mean,
I'd say there's more diversity here than Austin.
Yeah.
that's our experience
Anyway,
anyway. Just at a
We're
glance.
talking,
Yeah.
we've done another one of these with one of our friends named Mohammed, who came from Austin, and he said something very similar. He was surprised.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
having not the same kind of thing, like not really knowing much about the Twin Cities.
And yeah, he ended up in Kingfield, and he
Oh,
was,
sure.
he was
Cool.
kind of like, man, the first time I was here, like I think you were showing him around or something, and he was, around the lakes in the spring, and he was like, what? Like, oh, it's way more diverse than I thought. You know, like way more culturally interesting than like, you know, it seems. Yeah. But yeah, that's awesome. That's very good to hear. What do you like the least? What do you dislike the most? How about we'll put it that way?
I miss HEB.
Should have been here last week.
Sorry, guys. I don't work.
He misses HEB. I miss
HEB's
breakfast tacos.
I miss your breakfast
there's
tacos.
simple
But we
things.
haven't really. I bet you if we look.
Tell the listeners what HGB is.
HEB is a grocery store. God, it stands for. I don't know what it stands. Herman E. Butts, I think it is.
There's a guy's,
It was a guy's name, yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's a chain in Texas, and it's a legit store. Their best one is called Central Market. It's their competition to Whole Foods, and Whole Foods is out of Austin too. And so it was their direct response to Whole Foods, and it just the amount of great stuff it has. They do their own barbecue. They have their own meat section, and they do a really good job of finding local companies that make something and then brand it and bring it into the store. And now that said, we are probably 2 miles from 13 different stores.
Yeah, we tried to count it up.
So even though the Twin Cities doesn't have HEB, I mean, the Fresh Time Market, the Kowalski's, the Lunds and Burles, Byerly's, I always screw that up. I mean, Cub's okay, and but we have all these.
Yeah,
you would have fit right in.
Cub is okay.
Yeah. But we have 3 co-ops. We got this place called Tim and Tom's Speedy Market, and when we drove on our walking distance, I was like, okay, that's gonna be like a gas station. It's a legit store.
It's
Their
very
meat
cute.
selection's awesome. So we go to Tim and Tom's all the time just to walk down.
That's a great shout out.
Yeah. So there's a lot of places to shop. So that and breakfast tacos.
And breakfast tacos. It's probably good that I'm not eating as many breakfast tacos as I used to, but
Do you think there's a grocery store here that's closest to HEB?
no.
Have you?
So if there I mean, I don't know if they're in the city.
Actually,
Hy-Vee is the most
What
similar.
about Super Target? Hy-Vee?
So I would say
Hy-Vee is the
Hy-Vee,
most
but we don't
similar,
have Hy-Vee
but
here. We have them in
we don't have them.
Suburbs.
It's
suburbs,
suburbs.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Hy-Vee
it's definitely going
is-
to be the most similar, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's what I've always said.
Yeah,
But I'm like, but
it's true.
HEB people are probably going to be like, pfft,
They don't know, though. They've never been in a Hy-Vee.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. Or HEB people who come up here, and I'm like, Hy-Vee's probably the closest. I imagine they eye roll when
I
they
will
get in.
say,
They're like, I mean, not quite, but
HEB diehards like him. I mean, that's nothing tops it, which is fine. It was great. It always gave me a little anxiety. There's just so many people in
But
there.
it's funny.
But I mean, yeah.
All the
People
things
are
I
in love with
miss
it.
make you fat. I mean, so HEB, breakfast tacos. I miss Whataburger, but In-N-Out's probably pretty good. But I don't need to do fast food all. I mean, we would go to concerts and you're like, oh, we're gonna do a Whataburger run at 2 in the morning. I mean, we're 40 now.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Yeah, if the
I
things
think
that you're
it's-
missing are the things that are like actually not good for your health,
Yeah.
maybe it's not the end of the world that you don't have access to those.
And I think, like, to answer your question, it's not like there's anything we like the least. I think you're just hearing that, like, obviously there were things about Austin that we loved, and so
Sure.
like we may miss them, but that's not a knock to the Twin Cities. It's just there's just things there that
Like we miss our
we
friends
truly
the most.
loved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously, but,
Austin's
like-
a beautiful place,
Yeah.
and we had a lot of. I mean, we spent 12 years there, so. But I wouldn't say that there's anything that we dislike about the
Okay.
Twin Cities at all.
How about the driving? We heard from
you guys
some
it's so much
Texas-
better up here.
Oh wow!
Like
We heard the
Yeah,
exact
Muhammad
opposite.
hates it.
Look,
Yeah.
look.
Maybe he's a bad driver.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he must be because.
Sorry.
Sorry, guy, we don't know.
I told him like I'm not gonna come on here and say anything bad about Austin, but if there were bad things about Austin, it was for
No,
me.
we're not asking you to.
It was
to
the heat
down,
and the
yeah, to
traffic.
talk
I mean, those were the
bad
things
about
that
any
like
place, but
I couldn't deal anymore. Was the heat and the traffic. Just so.
Yeah.
But it is funny. I was telling my girlfriends back there. I'm not an aggressive driver at all. In fact, I drive like a grandmother. But I obviously had to get aggressive being down there for 12 years. Like I had to learn how to do that if I was going to survive. And so now I work from home here, and so I don't drive a ton. But when I do, I've noticed that I have like no chill. Like I'm still driving like I'm in Texas. It's not good.
I believe that.
It's something I'm going to have to like rein in. I'm like flying through things, and I was like, oh, I'm going too fast.
People
Or
are
I'm like,
slow here. Like
Yeah.
the speed limit's like 55
That-
on the
that's what
highway.
we heard
I'm
from-
going down there 80 because I'm
Yeah.
used to
yeah, we're like
80
flying
mile.
places, and I'm like, we're the asshole. Oh, sorry. I'm like, we're the jerks now. I'm like, we're the ones that like should like. We were definitely like the most conservative drivers in Texas. So.
Yeah. I've driven through Texas enough to be like, I hate this. Like, I do not like driving there. Really, anywhere in Texas, I was like, it's crazy. The amount of F-350s going 100 miles an hour was like insane, you know.
It would be so funny because I would drive from like the Iowa City area to Austin a lot. Like I did that a couple times a year, and so I don't know what it was, but like it would be the most normal drive, and the second you hit that state line, it was like, you know, you just start white knuckling it the whole rest of the way out through Texas.
That's funny. There's a place in Minnesota on the way up to the cabin that we've been working on where it's like you get into that suburb and you're like, why does everybody suck at driving? You know, the second you hit that one suburb, I'm not going to call it out, but
we'll tell you after.
Okay. Any shout out to places that you have found since you've lived here that you're like, this is awesome?
Yeah, they're all food places.
That's fine.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we'll take those.
Actually, so we went and we saw Sigur Rós at that beautiful theater.
Oh yeah, I was there too.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Theater. What was the name of the theater?
Pantages?
Nope, it wasn't Pantages.
State? Orpheum?
Oh,
I think it was the
State.
state. I think it was
Yeah.
the state.
You know, just this random
was.
theater is just gorgeous.
What a cool.
Yeah,
what
I've heard there's a lot of really like small. I hear
Guthrie's cool.
I heard Guthrie's really
Never
cool.
been, yeah.
Guthrie's like not brand new, but it's like
Yeah.
Something brand
new.
Gotcha.
Futuristic new. But yeah, Fitzgerald's awesome in St. Paul.
It's okay. What kind of like a little bit of everything?
Yeah, you can see like
Theater there? Oh yeah, comedy.
Okay.
Yeah, I was at the emo orchestra there about a month ago. Some friends. It was pretty sick.
Yeah.
That's
But yeah. There's a good bit of that. Even right by the state, there's the Orpheum, the Pantages, the State,
Yeah.
and maybe one other, and they're like all beautiful old theaters.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Martina, fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Spoon and Stable, fantastic.
These are restaurants, right?
Oh yeah, sorry. Like going, the little Nico's Taco Bar in our corner surprisingly
delicious.
does really good Mexican food.
The Finnish bistro in our neighborhood is absolutely delicious.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We haven't gone to the Native American restaurant yet, which I'm hearing lots of great things. I've heard that it's like the chef is kind of making the food like what they had back in the day, and so it's like venison or bison,
Wild rice. And,
all that kind of stuff. The Patisserie 46.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We've been there several times.
There's a great bakery. Like if you're around Lake Harriet, like walking and you go off into Linden Hills, there's a
I wouldn't be able to.
wonderful bakery over there that does croissants and pastries, French pastry.
Is it a coffee shop or just a bakery?
Coffee shop
Is
and a
it
bakery.
Cafe Ceres?
Yep,
Yes,
that's
it is.
Their pastries are crazy.
They're
I was
like
like, what is
amazing.
this?
Yeah, it's really good.
Phenomenal.
Spy House has Patisserie 46, by the way, now.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so they just deliver it there. So
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Oh,
if you're ever jonesing.
the guy who, the Hmong Parisian chef baker on St. Paul, Mark Hu.
I actually don't know that.
Anyway, he does this very like New York City style place. You walk in and all of his employees are all decked out and like they have their treats out in a row and like, what would you like? The price tag's this small, you can't read how much, but it's
Where
priced-
is that?
It's off of St. Paul in the historical
don't-
area near the cathedral.
Cathedral.
By the way,
Cathedral.
so I'm not Catholic, but
cathedral's
that
beautiful.
cathedral. So my father is Catholic, and he went to mass that Sunday, and I guess a local bishop was in town, and he's like, it was the most beautiful service he's ever done. So,
Oh, wow.
So for anyone who's Catholic and wants to, that's a beautiful place.
It is a very cool.
Yeah.
There's a few of those. Basilica,
Yeah.
super beautiful,
Yeah.
like
Minneapolis.
Catholic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So anyway, those are the. There's probably more, but I'm drawing a blank, I guess.
Yeah.
Green spaces that stick out.
So all those three lakes
Yeah, I guess you
are
mentioned
amazing.
Channel
Lake Como and Como Park, which is close to where we live.
Mm-hmm.
You walk past where the state fair is because we've gone to the state fair.
We did do
that. Was
that. Yeah,
awesome.
that was
Nice.
fun.
Quite an experience. Make sure you fast a couple days before you go. But what's really cool is
The Como Park and that's a good one. I hadn't thought about that, but it has a zoo, a botanical gardens.
Yeah.
It's all right there.
It's free.
Yeah.
I mean,
is
I know
weird.
like they asked for a donation, but we didn't have cash and we didn't know. We're like, oh, we can just walk right in. So we did do that.
the conservatory, right?
Yeah, thank you.
That
Yeah.
place
So
is
we've done that. That's also something we'll probably do again. Like, we were told by somebody that works there, they're like, come in the winter.
Yeah.
They're like, come because they're like, a lot of people don't. And they're like, when you're in like the indoor space, it's nice and warm and beautiful. And then if you then you dip around, you walk around the Japanese gardens and stuff, and they're like.
Warm is
come
like
do
an
that.
understatement. It's like
it's like hot.
bordering on sauna, but it's like a very damp warmth for all the plants. But yeah, that's a
so
great.
we'll do that.
If you have
again.
glasses, they'll fog up.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah.
There's so you
really
have
pretty.
the Minnehaha Falls Park area, but like there's this trail that goes all the way up the Mississippi. There's these two bridges, and you walk around it. We did the whole walk. That was gorgeous because you get to see the green
along
space.
the river, yeah.
And then you walk through a part of St. Paul where you just see these old style homes. Like drive down Summit. Anyone who hasn't been here yet, when you get here, just go down Summit and get some lunch on Grand Avenue.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad was here. He was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, he was really impressed.
He was really impressed. He's like, "This is where you're living." I'm like, "Well, not on this street."
Pretty much.
But
could have at that one spot that you brought him to.
I think the thing that we've kind of already found, like, his dad took the place right away, just in dropping us off, and his partner that he mentioned earlier about the one that went to school up here in Minnesota and then came back, like. It's really funny. Like he came, we took him out to Martina, I think, for dinner that night, and he obviously has other friends up here that he hadn't seen in a really long time because he really, I guess, didn't have an excuse to come back up here until Jason made the move. And maybe I should let you tell it because he's your part. He's the one that told you the story. But like, just in that weekend that he spent here with him, working from the space that he's rented, going out to a couple different places, he's going to himself get licensed in Minnesota so he can start taking on some work.
Wow.
I don't think he's going to move here. I don't think he's going to be a potential client.
Here.
He's going to spend some time, maybe
That's
like develop
awesome.
like a client base as well, because I think he didn't know he missed it until he came back to visit. And so I just think that's a really like interesting story too, is that like if we can kind of bring people that are our friends and family, like, and have them experience it, then nobody has been disappointed.
Yeah.
My parents have come up several times and they love it. But the more time they spend in their house, my dad's like, I get it now.
Yeah.
He actually said, he's like, I really get it. He's like, I get why you like this house. I get why you like this neighborhood. Your family too. So I just think, no one has said anything bad. Like the only bad thing anybody says is, oh, it gets really cold.
Yeah.
Good luck in January. And I'm like, okay.
But
I mean, like, all right, like
we fly to Texas so often now because of work that we'll just in January, February, we'll just go down to Austin.
Sure.
Yeah.
Either that or we'll just deal. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I was really used to it being really hot. Like, I didn't totally adapt, but like I did. I actually don't think 105 is obscene. Like, I can deal with it, and we're just gonna deal with negative 10 too. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, we're just gonna.
Yeah.
So it's funny about we're talking about the weather
so.
because when I read about Minnesota weather, I kept hearing like, well. The summers are terrible too. It's a world of extremes.
It is funny. That
and even my hairdresser, she's said the same thing. She's like, oh, but the summers aren't great here either. I'm like, well, what are you crazy? And
it's all relative.
Some Minnesota's version of hell in the summer is like 80 degrees.
Yeah, right.
Like that's wonderful. I mean, so I mean, it's all relative. So the summers are awesome here. Yeah, you may get a couple days in the 90s or maybe a week over 90, but dear God,
well,
that's
I like
nothing.
the heat too. Like, I mean,
So
because it's so rare, it's like I've come to kind of appreciate even like the 100 degree day we get a year. You're kind of like this is kind of crazy, but like I'm also really glad I don't live here in this all the time.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. We like to do a thought experiment, and I'm very curious to hear your thought on this. Okay, you have two. These are clearly hypothetical. Clearly, you have two choices. One is, and you both get an answer.
Okay.
So you don't have to come to an agreement.
She goes first, right?
Sure, yeah.
Oh.
Ladies first. You can take your current home, the four walls and the roof and everything in it, and move it to your dream lot within the Twin Cities. Or you can build your dream house on the current lot that you live on. What would you do?
I know.
I would build my dream house on the current lot that I live on.
Yeah,
cool.
But I would really just renovate my house.
You're like, I'm basically working on what I'm talking about. Right? That's awesome.
That's what I would do.
I mean, I someday want to live on the water, so like that's when I retire. I want a lake house.
Yeah.
And she wants a pet pig someday.
I do.
Nice.
So we need a bigger. I mean, the lot is small, but why can't you have two houses later on down the road?
Who knows? But yeah, I mean, we talked about that too. It just because, like I had said, it's 100 years old, so our house does need some work for sure. And we've kind of thought about like, well, what is the value like of that, and how much are we willing to put into the house? And you have to make those decisions. You're like, well, I live here, and it's also an investment, and balance that out. And I think I kind of looked at it and I was like, but what would we pay for the lot? Like, imagine this home with all of its like history wasn't here. Like, what would we have spent on this lot? And we kind of just came up with a number, and then it was like, okay, and then build a house on top of that, the same size, you know. And it was like, yeah, that's probably gonna be more than what we ended up, you know, like spending all right. So
even when you're done renovating,
yeah. I mean, our lot is just so. It's so quaint. It's so perfect. It's
that
so
house
unique.
would have
It's
been over
just
$1 million
such a
in
good.
Austin.
Yeah, it's just such a cool area.
Yeah.
And the neighbors are so kind, and I'm just like, you know, yeah. I mean, that lot's perfect.
Yeah.
So, and that's what you can't change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
A lot of people disagree on that.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
it's
a lot of, like,
it's
couples will
uncommon
disagree.
that we get the, but that's great to hear that you guys are on the same page as far as that goes.
Yeah.
I guess it's a good thing.
Yeah. That, I would say so. Yeah. It speaks to the you can't change the spot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. One last spot. So far of what you know about Minnesota, if you could move anywhere, price wasn't an object in Minnesota, whether it's in the city or whatever, where would it be? And you had to. You can't just say we'd stay where we
in
are.
my spot. Sure,
Yeah.
fine. Where in? I don't know that I can really answer that question.
Oh, I can.
Where you go up north?
So I haven't been to Duluth yet.
Yeah,
I hear that's
I haven't
a wonderful place to
either,
visit.
but-
I haven't been
Okay.
to Grand Marais.
Grand Marais.
Marais. Like I've heard that pop up a couple times, but man, it'd be cool living on the lake.
Yeah, he really
living in one
just
of
wants
those
to live on
small
a lake.
lake community. I'm a mountains kind of.
I don't think he even has to
I know
check
there's
it
no
out
mountains
first.
here, but you know, it's heavily forested, beautiful country
Yeah.
off the lake. You know, maybe up
Off
there.
of Lake Superior, or
I don't know. I haven't been up there yet.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
but
sure,
I would.
yes,
but,
yeah.
You know, I can name dozens of lakes
Mm-hmm.
out in Texas that I'd live on in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But,
Lake Superior is epic in
Yeah.
a way that other lakes aren't. You know,
Yeah.
it's unlike other lakes. I don't know. It's technically it's an inland sea. It's just so big and so,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
powerful in a way that like no lake is. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, we'd probably go. We'd go up
It'd
there.
be like a big lifestyle change. You'd be
Yeah.
like, all right, we're living in the city now.
Yeah.
If we have to move, it'll be like go to.
If we had to move, we would do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be like secluded, bigger plot,
water,
be more spread out on the water. Yeah.
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 I say I basically either want to live in the middle of everything or the middle of nowhere.
That's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
too.
We're kinda the
yeah,
same.
we're the
yeah,
same way.
like I'll just go get the other one
Yeah.
at times. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, now we're gonna play a game we call How Minnesotan Are You?
Oh, okay. Probably not very. since
Well, you've
we've
already
been here
checked the
months.
first
I was gonna
question.
say,
off.
Oh, did
there's
we?
a couple. Yeah, you
Yeah.
beat us to the punch at a couple of these questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. For the record, being like 10 out of 10 Minnesotan, not inherently a good thing.
Right. It's
Understood.
not a value, it's not a qualitative.
Got it.
And yeah,
Okay.
some of these questions are like, have you had this experience yet? Or
What's your
some
opinion
are,
on this?
Yeah, some are opinion based, some are knowledge based.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead.
okay, I'll start it off. You answered this already, but we like to start with this one. Have you been to the state fair?
Oh,
Yes.
More than once in
No.
a season? Did you just go one
No,
time?
just one day.
Okay.
But we went on opening day.
Well,
Get
okay.
extra
Ah.
points for that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Took off work to go.
Do you know the difference between a corn dog and a pronto pup?
Okay.
Not.
One of them uses pancake batter. The other one
Yes.
uses corn batter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ding ding.
Well
I didn't
done.
know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a reward for this? Do I get like money or something?
Probably.
We'll see.
Well, yeah.
I wouldn't- don't cut your
We're just getting
chickens,
started.
just-
So, how did you find the state fair? Just curious. I know because Texas has a big kind of a
we've-
tug of war, but in Iowa too.
Yeah, so
Iowa
I've
too.
obviously done the Iowa State Fair a few times. Texas is in Dallas or
Cotton Bowl.
Arlington. Yeah, so we never got up there. So it was
Okay.
it was far enough away that we never. Or you've been?
I've been, but
I see, I never
it was
went.
years ago. I didn't go as an adult, so it's kind of hard to compare. But I was actually very surprised how big it was. And
Texas
how,
or
The Minnesota?
No, so the Minnesota one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be. I've been to a lot of carnivals, and we had a
We
we
had
had
a
a
blast.
fair up in Vermont.
Yeah, I forget what it was. The Tunbridge Fair.
yeah, which is
yeah.
cool. But I was blown away how big and like it was a well-oiled machine.
Established.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
established.
Yes,
That's
it
the
was.
word. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was a blast.
I've driven people by the fairgrounds. I'm like, oh, that's the state fairgrounds. And they're like, it just sits empty. I'm like, yeah, a lot of the time, yeah.
Yeah,
you know.
it does.
Yeah.
Well, you even found us a house that's located where we could walk to the fair.
Yeah, we walked
And
to
we
the
walked
fair.
to the fair.
Oh, that's
That
true.
is pretty
It was
cool.
a mile. It was a mile walk, I think.
I mean, if you got to
So it
walk to a
took us
brewery,
15
you should definitely walk
walk
to
to
the
the fair. Yeah.
Have you had a hot dish?
I know what hot dish is, and I've had a casserole
Sure.
before because that's what they're really called.
Sure.
Oh, shots fired!
Fireworks.
You're entitled to your opinion.
Even if it's wrong, right?
Yeah. Okay. You haven't been to Lake Superior? Have you been to
No.
Brainerd?
No,
What's the most
furthest
Minnesota
north you've been?
probably our house.
No. Hold on. We
Tim and Tom's.
the town of St. Anthony. We went Medicine Lake.
It's like,
Okay.
That's in like
it's
Plymouth.
like 10
Yeah.
miles
Yeah.
further
Okay.
north.
It's all right.
That's it. Like, that's it. Yeah.
What's the most Minnesotan sounding name of a city you've been to, if you've been to one?
That's a good
Most
one.
Minnesota.
One of those Scandinavian ones with like no vowels in it, and like
Wayzata or
VKD, like it's like SKOLVD.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know. When we drive to Iowa, we always see these.
Oh,
Yeah, we do see. I can't.
there's
know
some
if I
weird
can
names
name-
on the way to Iowa.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of Native American names.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I butcher. But then again, in Austin,
do-
we butcher stuff too.
So do Minnesotans.
Yeah.
The way
Don't
the
say
way
it
we
correctly.
say native words is like,
Yeah.
so, you know. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know if I can.
Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
Like that's that, and it's that accent is crazy just to say that. But
Yeah.
Hiawatha, you know,
Yeah,
it like comes
yeah.
out so Minnesotan for pretty much everybody.
We've been to Wayzata. Oh, that was before though. We bought our house. That was when we did our
Yeah.
recon. We went all over.
Still
with it,
counts.
Does
Yeah.
that count? Okay.
That's
we
a
went
pretty
there.
Minnesotan sound. Yeah. Wayzata, that's what
Wayzata.
everybody calls it that. But it's Wayzata, yeah.
It is Wayzata? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Have you, okay, nope. Have you cursed at a pothole? Probably not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I've complained
Yeah.
about how bad the roads are.
Yeah,
so-
that's cursing at a pothole. I
Sure
think.
counts.
Yeah.
and
We
my-
have like a specific one on our street, like behind.
And
That's pretty bad.
what did Bueno say? He goes, yeah, but in the winter, the snow and the ice just covers it up, so it's fine.
But then it freezes and makes it
makes
bigger.
it bigger,
and then-
yeah.
yeah. So yeah.
So yeah, I would say yes, we have done that. Yeah,
Okay. Have you walked on a lake?
not yet.
No, it hasn't frozen.
It hasn't been cold enough yet.
We've walked
Yeah.
around lakes,
Yep.
but not on them.
Fair. Some of these are snow related. You
Fair
got
All right,
enough.
I got
Okay.
one. Okay, so today's the first Wednesday of the month, so this is apropos. Do you know what happens in the Twin Cities on the first Wednesday of the month?
you experienced it for sure.
Anything out of the ordinary
If
happen
you were in
today?
a bomb shelter.
I'm like looking at Bob, like, does he know? Is he gonna give me a clue? No, I don't know what you're talking. No.
So this has happened since I've lived here, and I moved here in 1990. So every first Wednesday of the month, they do a test of the sirens.
Okay.
Oh
So-
yeah. So Oh man,
Yeah.
that's every Wednesday.
Every
First Wednesday of the
The
month.
first Wednesday.
Yeah, they
At one.
because I work downtown Minneapolis, and so
Yeah.
but okay, I've only heard it a couple. Okay, yeah. Oh, all right.
It's sometimes, yeah, if you're inside,
sometimes,
maybe you won't
might
hear
not
it.
yeah.
But
but
Alright.
that's the thing.
you find yourself saying "ope" ever?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I did
True.
that, though. Yeah.
No, but
I
when
do
she's
that.
got me saying oofta.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
very good.
It's a useful
It's
phrase.
useful. You can say it in really any scenario.
Yeah.
I introduced him to quite a few like good Midwest
Yeah, she's
words
a true
over the
Midwestern
years.
girl. So
That's good.
Yeah. So you say all that.
I mean,
now.
I say y'all. It's a useful word.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
easy.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Do you guys
says
say
that.
y'all?
I say use
Don't.
guys
Wow.
No,
because
I
my
say you guys.
my dad's from
Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh.
yeah.
My dad's born.
I was gonna
and raised in
say. I
Pittsburgh,
felt like
so-
Do you
that was
just
more
say
of a East
use?
Coast thing.
No, I just say
You's
use
going
guys.
over there? You never say
No,
that?
I don't use
okay.
over there.
I
yeah.
don't
Okay.
say
It's
y'all.
like crack open a Youngling.
Yeah.
I never picked up on the y'all, but like I for whatever reason, like I made a very like conscious decision not to do that. I guess when I moved there, I was like, don't slip into
You're
it.
not-
Don't don't adopt. And I don't know why. Like now
12
in hindsight, I
hours.
don't really care.
Yeah.
but,
12 hours of being in the South, I was saying y'all.
Y'all.
It was like, that's helpful.
I'm not Texas. I don't. Yeah. I don't know from really anything. Like, you've been all
Okay,
over.
so we know what your favorite grocery store is in
Yes.
in Texas. What's the best grocery store in the Twin Cities?
The one I go to a lot is the Fresh Time Market.
Loves
It's
it.
really close because it doesn't have like. So I like Whole Foods, but it doesn't have the Whole Foods prices, but it still kind of has the Whole Foods vibe with like the pre-made stuff. Kowalski's is great, a little pricey.
Love
But Kowalski's, and we love our little Tim and Tom's Market down the street. We actually have Trader Joe's and Whole Foods are in Matt Groveland. Those are easy to get to.
I think we're just most impressed that we have so many options.
Yeah,
I would say the
around
Fresh
so
Time
many
Market's
options.
probably my favorite.
I don't know that
Yeah.
there's like one like that really stands out, but it's that like I mean Cub is right down the street. Like it's super simple, and so is the other market, and you know, between all of them, you definitely have what you need. So
A lot of people tolerate cub because there's a lot of them.
there's a lot of
I
kids.
live in between two, and I don't like either, but I go to them constantly.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely where we go the most for sure.
Well, they're not all similar. I mean, we have four near us, and
There's one
the
that's pretty
in
nice, and then
Roseville's
like
kinda
the others,
nice.
he doesn't. Yeah, we don't care for as much. But
Have you ever jumped a car?
Like
I don't.
like it's the
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But not here though. Not here.
Okay. I just think doing it is a
Okay,
pretty
yeah.
much,
Yeah.
Do you know what cold cranking amps means?
Oh jeez. Cold cranking.
Not the
amps.
band. I
Oh,
think there was a band called that.
when your ignition doesn't start.
No, I think it's just it's a measurement on car batteries.
Okay.
And it has to do
Yeah,
with
like
Okay.
yeah. And it
I
has to do with
mean-
the cold weather.
So I haven't done that yet. I definitely did that in college a lot.
Yeah, there's a time in your life, if you're a certain age in Minnesota, you jump a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
so-
jammed up, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have done that in my past. Just not here yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure we will.
That's
My
all
car's still old, so and I haven't replaced it, so I'm sure
That's
we'll do that
true.
this winter.
It's a
Yeah.
ticking time bomb. That's going to happen.
Fair.
If I said 5-5, how would you finish that? 5-5.
5.
No?
No, not 555.
No. I don't even know
Is that
what yours is.
Zip code?
5510.
Oh, 108.
Okay.
Okay.
I was like, what?
Okay.
Do you know what
I-
I thought it was? I thought it was like that 444 guy who always is talking on the.
I thought it was like this personal injury guy that's on
Yeah.
TV in Texas. all
It
the
does
time.
kind of sound.
Yeah,
like
that's what I thought it was.
yeah,
He was always
a-
like 444.
the beginning of a
444.
phone
Now I'm like
number.
shouting him out.
Yeah, he's incredibly
444.
Back to the traffic discussion. Do you guys know what a Minnesota standoff is?
Where no one knows who to like. You go to the stop sign and you don't know who should actually go.
The four-way.
Precisely.
Yeah, because you're too
good job.
polite to go.
Just the constant waving.
Yeah.
We
I do know
got
that.
we got a TikTok comment that said, to me, a Minnesota standoff is everybody waiting to eat the last chip.
Oh, that's a
Oh.
great one.
Yeah.
Yeah. One slice of pizza. Who's gonna?
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be the
Too
one?
nice.
Will
Yeah,
you, if at an event with multiple people and sort of buffet style food, will you eat the last piece?
No.
I've had bad experience at like buffets that
Well,
Yeah.
that's neither
yeah,
here.
so yeah.
But like at a party. I'd like a party.
At a
event.
party
Yeah.
where it's-
No.
Yeah, you'll
You'll
leave
leave
that
it.
last.
I'll leave it.
Yeah. You don't want to be the person to. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. That's so.
So
Yeah.
you'll fit
that's-
right in.
Do you ever measure distance in time?
Like, is there any other way?
No.
If I said, how far do you live from
2
whatever?
hours away, 4
yeah.
hours away, 30 minutes away.
Oh yeah, I guess I do that occasionally.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's a big, yeah.
Yeah.
He does that.
Okay.
I've got 3 quick
Please
ones.
hit me.
Okay. Have you ever been to a meat raffle?
No. But
Do you know
I
what
want
that
to.
is? Okay. Well, have you ever done a laundry?
I got too excited when I said
Have you ever done a laundry basket full of pull tabs?
no.
Have you
Okay.
done a pull tab?
Pull tab? Like is that a
On the,
No.
No.
oh, so I don't know.
It is fun to have people figure out
Yeah.
what a pull
What are
tab
we
is.
I don't
talking
know
about?
what a pull tab
Have you ever gambled on a tri-wheel at a bar?
No.
Okay, so all 3 of these things are things that happen at bars, usually dive beer places.
Okay.
Meat raffle is just what it sounds like. There's various cuts of meat that
bounty.
they raffle off
Okay.
at a
Okay.
bar.
Okay. Is it like good smoked like?
Yeah,
smoked
usually
meats?
some local.
Okay.
Yeah, it's usually something.
not like the salami that's been sitting out
No,
all day.
it's like a in most of the ones I've been to anyway.
Okay.
Pull tabs are a form of gambling that are. It's basically like a scratch off, but they
Oh,
like pop
okay.
them open, and you
Had
you-
no idea.
Again, at a dive beer bar or maybe a
Basketball?
supper club. Yeah, I'll show you a picture here in a
They
minute.
give you a
Yeah.
laundry basket to like chuck
tiny-
the
yeah, they-
trash into.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
The
You buy
losers.
like 40 of them, and you might win $200. Who knows? Maybe you'll win $4. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then tri-wheel at a bar. So there's obviously no legalized gambling in Minnesota, but they will have like booster clubs or whatever for high schools. Well, they allow actual gambling with real money if it's benefiting some charitable cause.
Oh, okay.
So you can do that at
Okay.
a few bars in Northeast.
So you have some weekend plans lined up.
Yeah.
You ever say we need it while it's raining?
Yes. You do that too.
Okay.
In like a, well, we need it.
We needed
you know?
it. We needed it. I'm glad it's raining. We needed it.
Do you know what knee high by the 4th of July means? Oh yeah, I figured
Of
you
course
would.
she does.
Knee high before it's
My mom has explained it to you before.
She has?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Shelly, I wasn't listening.
Might as well
Corn.
be speaking Greek.
Corn? Oh, okay.
Gross. Knee high by 4th of July.
Oh, okay.
You ever had a Schwann's delivery?
Yes, but back when we lived in California when I was really little, briefly between San Antonio and New York. Yeah, so back in the day.
Bought out?
I don't know.
I haven't seen one of those trucks in a long time.
I know I saw one
they were
recently,
big.
and that's why I thought of this question.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming they were big up there then too.
Schwann's. Yeah, they were
that
huge.
was the best
here.
ice cream.
Yeah, they're like lasagna. It was like like weird stuff.
We would get
people
like
are
little pizzas and like
Schwann's,
the cones.
whatever.
They're so
Yeah.
good.
Garlic bread. So yeah, the weirdest stuff. Have you ever gone through a car wash multiple times to get bugs off?
No, but I have been obsessively going through car washes lately just because I'm like, okay, is there salt already on the ground?
Not much, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a
No.
Mr. Wash?
Mr. Wash.
No.
It's like a
chain?
monthly thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
you have like put a thing on your car and you can just drive through. It's the
Oh,
best.
nice.
That's
No,
handy.
we don't
Yeah.
have one of those.
And then they can do Mr. Wash. Don't get me, but it's
Best car washes in the Twin Cities coming soon.
Mr. Wash is so sick. It's like $30 for the month and unlimited exterior washes, which in the winter is very good.
Sure.
Now they have an underwash, which is very good in Minnesota. And then you can upgrade to add, not an ad. No, you can upgrade to add like the interior for like $10.
Okay.
So
Oh, wow.
yeah. So like one interior $40 and unlimited exterior. Psh, take.
My
It's
father
sweet.
would be like, why aren't you washing your car on your own? I'm like, all right, you get out here in January. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
No hose. Yeah.
Yeah.
February.
You ever say you betcha?
No.
Jokingly, but
Yeah.
no, I don't think they actually.
Mostly
really
in
say it.
jest. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Do you know what it means to give somebody a buck that has nothing to do with money?
No,
Okay.
I don't know that one.
It's like pegs on a bike. Giving a ride on a bike on pegs.
Okay.
I think you and I are the
I did
only
not
two.
know that.
I know. I can't wait for somebody to be like, yeah, is that when you give somebody a ride on pegs? And I'm like,
BMX bike? Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry. Didn't know that one.
Yeah, we found out it's like just an Apple Valley. Yeah.
I've got a few here.
Please.
Okay. So we're going to go through a few quick ones. How many of these items do you own? Flannel button up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Canoe paddle?
No.
Snow blower?
No.
Not yet.
Crock
done.
pot?
He like,
Yes.
can't wait.
Crock pot, yes. Okay. Anything with the silhouette of the state of Minnesota on it?
Yes.
We do.
Keychain? Okay.
Yeah.
What do you got?
It's my sister got it for us. It's like a little puzzle.
Oh,
that
things
wood,
to
the
think
wood. That
And we have
wooden
like some
puzzle.
magnets too and some
Some
stuff.
magnets, yeah.
We have a
Everybody's
puzzle
got
of
it.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any book written by or about a famous Minnesotan?
Well, the one about our house.
Oh, we bought a book about our neighborhood.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We
It's
bought a book
Santa
about our
thing.
neighborhood because our house is featured in it.
Yeah.
Their house
So,
is in
yes.
the,
Our house
that's
is in
cool.
the little,
Very cool.
So yes,
Okay.
at least that one that we remember.
Minnesota State Park seasonal pass?
Not yet.
No, but we
I had the
probably will
Texas
since
one.
we're so close.
Ooh, you can get the license plate.
Or
Oh.
I'm sorry, I thought you said State
Yeah.
Fair. You said State Park.
Yeah, State
Yeah,
Park.
we will
Park
get one. Yes.
Do you already have Minnesota plates?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I just upgraded the plates where you can to any state park. Sweet,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Last one, Patagonia puffer jacket or vest?
Yes.
Yeah, not a puffer jacket, but basically a lot of Patagonia stuff.
Not the vest, the jacket. Yeah.
We love to camp. We love to
Yeah.
backpack
Yeah,
and
we do
hike.
have-
So
Anything from Duluth Trading Company?
No.
not yet.
Anything from Fleet Farm?
Nope.
Have you been to a Fleet Farm?
I don't even know what that is.
Okay.
Oh jeez. Oh boy.
Oh. Am I in for a treat?
We call it the Man Mall. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay. All right.
Do you have any feelings about
Carhartt as far as the eye can see.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's awesome. Carhartt, yeah, it's great. Dad snacks too. So if you ever want chocolate covered every nut ever made,
Yeah.
that's a
Cool.
good place to
Yeah.
get it. Do you have any feelings about Caribou Coffee, one way or the other?
We we like them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
love
I
it.
shouldn't say love. We like them.
Do you have a
Yeah.
Caribou Perks card?
No.
No, but I didn't even know Caribou was a Minnesota thing because I've seen it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
big fan.
I love it here.
Yep.
Okay.
I
Have
got
you been to a
one.
Menards?
Go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
Our Menards.
Oh, man. Here we go.
Oh, you got a crazy Menards.
Our Menards. Yeah, well, maybe they all have this. I don't know. They don't have them in Iowa anyway.
Not
like,
all of them.
It has the escalator for the cart,
Yeah.
which is sweet. I have seen that like one other place. But the best thing about my Menards is it has a piano player.
Yep.
What?
I
yeah,
had
yeah.
no
Up at the
idea.
top of the. Yeah.
It
I
was
love that.
hilarious. I told my
Yeah.
dad, I was like,
Just
so
around Christmas, or is this
No, all the
year,
time.
year-long?
he gets there at 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. And
Wow.
I was telling my dad, I was like, well, when you come up here, help us out some stuff. Like, by the way, you have to see this Menards. I told him there's a piano player, and he was like, when can I get there?
Yeah.
Like, tomorrow?
They take requests.
Yeah.
He does take requests. Played some Beatles for us. It's
That's awesome.
Very cool. Okay, this is good because this person's name already came up in this conversation. But okay, I'm gonna put a timer on 15 seconds. Can you name 3 Prince songs? Go.
When Doves Cry, Let's Go, and how am I like?
It's hard.
Kiss. There you go.
I don't know if you get the full titles on all of those.
I don't know.
Let's Go Crazy.
Let's Go Crazy.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Pretty good.
There's one he says.
I feel like now when you time it, then I can't do it. Then
Yeah,
like
I know.
otherwise, I'd be able to be
That's the hard
like.
part. Yeah, looking at the clock.
I didn't know the names. I could probably sing them, but you don't want me singing on this.
Yeah.
Purple Rain's a
Part of it
pretty
is
popular
1999.
one.
Yeah. Purple Rain. I know.
Rain.
Well, that's because I saw a timer and I freaked out.
Okay.
Have you played club hockey? That's a layup.
Yep.
I have not.
Ever played intramural broom ball?
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Texas, surprisingly.
Yeah.
No kidding.
That's
I
crazy.
have not done that.
We had I don't know if you remember this guy. Our elementary school gym teacher was like,
Oh, Shrek.
national broom ball.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like so weird to think back on. Do you know what a biffy is?
Biffy.
No.
Okay. It's a porta potty.
Oh.
Oh.
Porta john.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
You ever say pert near?
No.
You know what it means?
No.
Okay. It means like right around.
Pretty close.
Oh, okay.
Oh, pretty near.
Pert near's Sandstone is actually a band.
You said called more. I just say Mas o Menos. So.
Yeah.
Kind of close to that.
Yeah.
You know how to make a Midwest martini?
Is it with like Bush Light, like in a martini glass?
Pretty much.
And well, it's more like it's
latte?
like Michelob Light with an olive in it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What's it?
It's whatever, a light beer with an olive in it.
Oh, sounds
Or
cool.
olive.
The truest form is probably Michelob.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
that's such a weird beer that we have here that other places don't.
Hams would work. Coors
Oh, sure,
Light.
sure.
Have you been to the Mall of America?
Yes.
Yes, but not since we've lived here.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
but we have. I've been a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah. We're actually excited to take. We don't have kids. We have 2 nephews that once they come visit for the first time.
Yeah, they'll love it.
Yeah, I think that's something for little kids because
Yeah.
it's just a mall. It's
It's
big
crazy,
mall.
yeah.
But I hear it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's a kid. I feel like, it's a kid thing. Do you have any animosity toward the Dallas Stars?
Yes.
I do not
Okay.
care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they were stolen from Minnesota, or why do you have?
Well, I'm a Penguins fan, and so
Okay.
you guys probably remember back in the '90s when the Minnesota North Stars lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins in the Stanley Cup. And
Vaguely.
So
I did not. I learned about that recently. I'm not. a big
I say I
hockey
remember.
guy,
I mean, I
but-
was probably 8, I was like 6 at the time.
But yeah, they did make the Stanley Cup Finals
But,
against the Penguins in the early
Yeah.
90s.
But I do actually I don't have much animosity. 'Cause the reason I love the Stars is that it's brought hockey to Texas, and youth hockey has exploded ever since the Stars came down there. So it's been a good thing. Thank you, Minnesota.
That's cool. You're welcome. Have you ever caught a walleye?
I don't
No,
think so.
but I don't fish.
Or I was going to say crappie. Walleye or crappie?
hear they're-
Know
Walleye
all
is-
about them, but I've never caught
Do you
one,
have
no.
the?
Oh,
Yeah, here.
I'll do a couple more. You ever call it pop?
Yeah.
No, so I call it Coke.
I usually say soda. but
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
I
If
used
it's
to
a
say
Dr.
Coke.
Pepper,
It's
it's
a South
Coke.
thing.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
wild to me. You ever had Old Dutch potato chips?
Yes.
Yeah, we were kind of the food stuff. They had I forget what it was, like some kind of savory garden. I was like, oh, these are pretty damn good. And I didn't
Yeah,
realize
he
that they were
was
in
really-
Minnesota. You know, it's funny. People think in Texas, they think Dairy Queen is from Texas. They're like, oh, that's
So
a
it's
Texas fast
The
food chain.
strangest thing. So where is
But it's from Minnesota.
Soda?
That's hilarious.
And
Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah, but all my Texas friends are like, oh yeah, it's a Texas company. I'm like, no.
So the
it's-
commercials
Their
down in
national
Texas
headquarters are
say
in Bloomington.
DQ. That's what I like about, or that's what I love about Texas.
yeah, like no.
And I just remember when I moved there, I was like, what are they talking about?
They're falsely claiming.
falsely
Texas.
claiming Texas, yeah.
Like, that's what you like about Texas. They're everywhere.
That's pretty good, I guess, decent marketing.
Yeah.
People be like,
Yeah.
yeah, the hometown. And you're like, well, not at all, actually. Do you know what top the tater is?
Oh.
I know what the tater is.
It's often combined with Old Dutch potato chips.
Oh,
Chips and dip,
Yeah.
as my wife
Top
calls
the
it.
tater.
It's her favorite food.
Okay, are you familiar with this sound?
I'm assuming that's a bird of some
Is that a
kind.
loon?
That's
Yeah,
a bird.
great ear.
Nice.
That
Well
was
done.
lucky.
Have you ever eaten a popover?
Yeah.
Is that like the like a muffin that explodes with the beef broth kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Mom makes them at Christmas.
Okay. Yeah. Her mom makes them at Christmas.
Have you ever been to a booyah?
Booyah. I've said booyah.
I just love asking that question.
No.
I don't know, like a jamboree?
A jamboree.
A jamboree?
Yeah.
No.
A get together of sorts.
Yeah. Like a jam session.
It's often related to like firefighters.
Oh.
You know, they'll be like, the
Okay.
firehouse booyah. Yeah.
Oh.
Have you ever eaten booyah?
I've never eaten booyah.
Funny, it's kind of jamboree. I said jamboree. It's kind of like a jambalaya or
Jambalaya.
something.
Okay.
like that.
Cool.
What?
Okay. Do you got any more?
I don't think so. I think I'm tapped.
Okay.
I don't know how we scored. Probably not.
I have so many more, but that's okay.
Great.
It's like I go all day.
Yeah.
I mean, I have others, but I also really have to go to the bathroom.
Frankly, I think you did pretty well.
Thank
yeah,
you.
Okay.
very, very
Actually,
well.
I have one last one.
Oh, this is my favorite one.
Are you familiar with this man?
Do you know who this is?
You don't have to know the name. Have you seen this picture?
I've
That's
seen
a
that
better-
picture.
Yeah.
But I'm not. But
No. No, I have not.
It was just in, like, we see it doing showings all the time. It was
You
in
see
like,
that photo?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was in like every house.
So who is it?
the
I looked this up.
the
once, I can never
library.
remember.
Our library has that photo. The one in
Does
St.
it?
So
Anthony
there
Park.
was a
Is that
company
St.
that I don't think it's
It's like-
I think the title of the painting is like man over prayer
Praying
or
Man
whatever,
or something like
but there was like a company that sold these, and like for whatever reason,
Huh.
what I'm guessing the 50s or 60s, it was just a boom time for
That
that particular image.
Interesting.
It's
No,
kind of like how,
don't know
how
that one.
now there's like certain IKEA prints that you
Yeah.
don't like, or that
Right.
like
Yeah.
that
the one
like
with the, like,
The ox.
ox with the like
Yeah.
yeah, like
and the
you're like,
bridge,
I see
the bridge
that
that's like
everywhere.
cloudy.
bridge,
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, cool. All right.
Scored
Appreciate
pretty
it.
well.
Yeah. 3 out of 5.
I would say
You betcha.
maybe 2.5.
Yeah.
Above that, barely
Yeah.
above average. Thanks.
But pretty decent. Your Midwest roots definitely, I think.
It definitely
help.
helped too.
But
yeah, a little
that's
bit.
and then you've been, in proximity to Midwest
Yeah.
roots, and so by default,
right.
That
yeah.
helps. Yeah.
Well, cool. You're obviously new here, so you'll get you'll go to a Fleet Farm, you'll fall in love with it. But yeah,
Are there farm and fleets too, or is it only Fleet Farm?
that's
up here?
actually the Wisconsin or whatever version of Fleet Farm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
so that's what we
Minnesota,
had
I've
in
only
Iowa was
ever
farm
seen
and fleets.
Fleet
Yeah.
Farm.
You
but
only have. There's only Fleet Farms.
Yeah,
as far as I know.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you very much. Oh,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
parting, do you have any parting wisdom for anybody who is basically in your same situation, trying to move here? Don't say work with us. Like any other, yeah, and any wisdom that you think would be helpful.
Do the recon missions. Go.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just come out
Come up. Yeah.
and visit and do it a couple times. Don't do it just once.
Wherever you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really make sure that like you explore the area. Don't rent a car, drive around.
Yeah.
You
rent a
know, like
car.
try to learn it for yourself and see if you like it, see if you like the vibe. I think right away we felt really comfortable
Yeah.
driving around and doing that, and so that really helped. I think make us feel really good and like confident about
Yep.
our decision. So that's probably like my biggest tip. And then the other one, obviously, about the inspector and
Oh yeah.
how you make the offer. Like again,
Sure.
like just like I think it was a bit
Manager.
unavoidable. Like I don't see it going a different way. Like we would have missed out on our house if we'd waited and only done it when we had, or only like made an offer on a house that you had shown us in person.
Yeah.
But I do think like you just have to go into it with the right mindset. Like because that can be overwhelming. But,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, do your research. Definitely make sure that, and don't let naysayers get you down, because like we definitely had a fair share of people that were like not like super negative by any means, but just there was definitely some like.
Oh,
Why would you
do
go
that?
there?
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's cold.
Yeah.
And what are you doing? And it was a little like, okay. I mean, like,
Find any city in the country, and there's gonna be someone that says that place is terrible.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly,
just-
exactly. And every place has a lot. And we've been around. We've lived enough different places that I think we've experienced a lot of really good and a lot of really like not so good in literally all of them. So I mean, no place is perfect.
The place is
And
perfect.
just-
but, yeah.
Yeah, but this place is pretty good.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank
Great
you.
advice.
Yeah,
Thanks
yeah.
so much
Hope it's
for
helpful.
chatting with us.
Bye,
Yes, that's
guys.
helpful.